This is the Patriots Pregame Show, presented by Dunkin.
Harmon on a blitz. Goff throws it to the right. Gilmore's there. Intercepted at the 4. Harmon forced the pick, and Gilmore comes up with it.
The Patriots Pregame Show is the world's largest virtual tailgate, featuring fans of the 6-time Super Bowl champion New England Patriots.
Brady under center. Gives to Michelle. Runs it left. A dive to the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots. Michelle for 6.
That's the offense I know. That's the offense we love.
Hardy, Paul Perillo, and Mike Dussault are here to do the grilling as your hosts. This week, the Patriots are home against the Buffalo Bills.
James White cuts it under the right arm. Cuts it upfield. Driving forward. Diving to the goal line.
It's still
a touchdown. And a title for the Patriots.
I can't believe it.
Hardy, Paul Perillo, and Mike Dussault are here to get you ready for the game.
It's football time, fellas. Let's get into it.
Now, live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, Patriots Nation, welcome to the Patriots Pregame Show, presented by Dunkin.
Merry Christmas, everybody, or a merry day after Christmas. Welcome into the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Dunkin. Hardy, Mike Dussault, and Paul Perillo, and the ghost of a Christmas past, who mercifully has just left the studio.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
That's a good way to put it.
Andy Hart was in here, and Dussault, have you gotten to know him at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He's really is an awful, awful person.
Spewing his anthem of rage.
Just his anthem of hate and misinformation and just unfair criticism of people and things and appearances and professional. I mean, he took a shot at everybody.
Except for Mike. He doesn't know Mike well enough to do that.
No, not yet. Surprisingly, though.
You and I were in the crosshairs.
Yeah. Oh, God. So our Christmas gift to you is we made him leave. And now we can enjoy ourselves here for the Patriots pregame show. Welcome in.
Before we get started, I'm going to enjoy a little Christmas gift myself right now. I'm going to get myself a Diet Pepsi.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Oh,
is that Diet Pepsi in that carafe?
fill her up.
What? If you're watching right now, you can see Paul on the console here has what was Marine Matt's Yankee swap gift. It is some kind of a beverage dispenser. And it's filled with Diet Pepsi? All right.
Is it staying carbonated in there?
Is it staying cold and carbonated? Those are the two main questions.
Low test.
No.
Okay.
It's like a little gas guzzle. I like it.
Does it stay cold?
Let it. It's going to crumble it up like
It's
Quint.
good stuff right there.
Does it stay carbonated?
It's good stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Matt loaded it up
You got to pump it a little bit.
pregame. We did a little pregame in Matt and I.
CO2 canister in there or something?
You know, not everybody comes in on two wheels.
I see some of those CO2 canisters sometimes littered on the sidewalk when I'm walking the dog. Are still kids doing? Are they still doing whippets?
I don't know. I only used them for paintball guns.
No, those are
Yeah.
nitrous.
Yeah.
The canisters
Oh.
I think I see that are discarded. But
Main streets.
I like this thing because it has long been my motto. More than things, I like things to put things in. You know, little carry-alls, little baskets, little things. So that is something to hold something else. But how does it work? I mean, what would you functionality give it a grade?
Well, I mean, I did have to sort of raise it up to let gravity take control. I think that's where there might be a little bit of a flaw in the design, but it looks good.
It looks delightful.
And it works. I mean, there's a practicality to it. It works. It gets the job done. And Matt was kind enough to load it up with some Diet Pepsi instead of, an espresso.
I think
Little
it's great.
espresso.
Big
You should
game.
try it.
That's perfect for the big game.
It's a big game today. All right, so let's get to this big game here. First of all, good Christmas, everybody.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Kids
You
happy
as well?
Everybody happy. Great.
Sure.
Wonderful.
Great.
Everybody healthy.
I
happy.
hope everybody
Great.
everybody listening also can share the same sentiments.
Yes, I hope so too.
Yes.
We have the Bills here today. 8-6 on the season. Yes, visiting your 9-5
Not
Patriots.
so sneaky important game.
Not so sneaky.
Not so
and
sneaky.
Just before we get to our keys to the game, your opening thoughts on this game today, because I don't know that you even want to call it a de facto AFC East championship game. This is for the AFC East.
Yeah.
This game today.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean, why
Might
dance
not be
around
any
it?
de facto about it.
No.
No, I think this is the climax of the regular season. I mean, this is it. It's a divisional game. This is Buffalo, who won the division last year. You probably spent a lot of your offseason saying, how do we take the division back? And here it is. This is a chance. I mean, they win today, and then Miami wins tomorrow. They can win the title outright. But it's like, I don't want to put too much on this game. There's a lot on this game. And I think all week you heard the players, you heard the coaches. acknowledge it. They understand this is a huge game. This will kind of determine if they have a home playoff game or not. That very well might be what's on the line here today. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I would echo everything that Mike said. I think this is basically going to come down to the winner today is in the driver's seat. And there is still work to be done either side. But if the Patriots win, they're just waiting around tomorrow night and see if the Saints can take care of Miami for you. And if that happens, then the Patriots can go into the last 2 weeks of the regular season knowing that they have the AFC East locked up, and they can just sort of watch Kansas City and keep track of those teams. Tennessee, kept pace with a win on Thursday night. So you can sort of deflect your attention from the division to the conference, which would be, certainly an unexpected welcome sight going into the last 2 weeks.
All right, let's get to the keys to the game.
Why did you leave the keys up on the table? You wanted to.
You've waited all week for it.
The whole team's in the locker room right now, just listening to this, waiting to hear what you're going to say.
Without these keys, the Patriots are destined and doomed to fail.
Here are Hardy, Paul, and Mike's keys to the game.
Why did I steal your key to the game also?
You have the key to the game. You have the right one.
Keys to the game. They're listening in the locker room right now to see how can we win this game today, fellas. Let's see what Paul and to a lesser degree Mike and to almost no degree Hardy have to say in terms of what is key to victory today. Paul, we begin with you.
I just want to see the Patriots get back to the cleaner games that they were playing during the win streak. Win or lose, let's not make it easier for the opponent by committing a host of penalties and turning the ball over. So I would just say clean it up. Clean up the penalties especially. No free yards, no shooting yourself in the foot. I think offensively when they've gotten in the most trouble this year, Mike, it's been when they've taken a 1st and 10 and turned it into a 1st and 20.
Sure.
Stuff like that. I don't think this offense is built necessarily. I mean, no offenses really are. But this one in particular, I think, wants to run the ball and set up, 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, and then, move the chains. That's how they want to do it. And I think the penalties against Indianapolis last week really hurt the cause early in the game in that regard. So that would be my number one thing, Hardy, today, is to clean things up and start with the penalties.
Yeah, I think it's a great one, Paul. I think it's absolutely critical. I mean, that's just that I don't want to believe that the Patriots are the team that we saw those first few weeks of the season or last week against the Colts, that sloppy team that beats themselves. And you're totally right with the penalties. I mean, 7 penalties on offense last week totally hindered their chances. They got to clean up the penalties, and I'd also throw the turnovers under that. Overall, I think that's just the starter for this game. You can't beat yourself, play sloppy football. My key was more of a general philosophical thing. It's finish, and it's about finishing in the red zone. It's about finishing this season off somewhat to an extent, finishing the division off, what you've done this season. It's just kind of a mindset, I think, for today of finishing off drives, finishing off the Bills. That's kind of the theme that I wanted to go with today. But I really do think it starts with Paul's key of playing clean football. And that if they don't do that, nothing else really matters.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with how they start and if they can play with a lead. Last week's game was a perfect example of the things spiraling out of control. You get down, you're trying to come back, you start jumping off sides, you start making dumb penalties. You're pressing, you're making mistakes. Your mistakes are compounded by what has gone wrang previously.
And you're right. They started right away last week. You
Yeah.
can see those problems early.
And I have to say, we've talked about this a lot, analytically, how coaches and teams approach things and how they make their decisions to go for things. Like it or not, this game does have a memory. This is, more like blackjack than it is roulette. It's like, just spin it again. And as much as Bill Belichick would like to say, last week's game has nothing to do with this week's and the psychological impact, it's wonderful as a theory, but it doesn't work in practice, and it certainly doesn't work throughout the course of a game. The game itself takes on a personality of its own, and if you start off early by making bad penalties, I'm afraid that does influence how the rest of the game goes. So from the very beginning, let's hope that the Patriots do play cleaner from the start today. So Paul, I think it's a great key. Mike, finish in all aspects, whether it's, finishing drives, finishing in the red zone, finishing what hopefully the half will be ending for the team. I look at it more from I guess a defensive perspective, because this is where this team's, bread is buttered, and don't let Allen beat you today. Contain him. don't let them sneak around the outside and pick up 8 yards on a 3rd and 3. I hate them.
Yep.
I hate them more than
Drive me
anything.
crazy.
Or, even worse, on a 3rd and 8, you got them in a 3rd and long, and you got good coverage downfield, and the next thing you know, a mobile quarterback is sneaking around the outside and picking up 13 yards on you. They're like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That would be, if I could wish for one thing, I don't know if it's a key as much as it is a wish for me today. Don't let that happen with Josh Allen when the Bills have the ball.
Yeah, it was kind of funny for me. On Thursday, we had Patriots Unfiltered, and Paul had to leave to go to your station to wrap up. And,
his station.
And unfortunately for the Patriots Unfiltered listeners, it was just me and Scal for a full hour. So I'm sure people were upset about it. But it was funny because I said something on that show with Scal, and then I, of course, got to tune in and support Paulie P on the Sports Hub, listening to him. And then he said almost the exact same thing that I said to Scal. So I think we're on the same page with this. Was that this game's kind of all about Josh Allen? Like that, I feel like how he kind of goes today. That's how it's gonna be. If he's on fire, if he's able to run like you said, if he's able to pick up, a shorthanded obviously at receiver, down 2 guys, but still has Diggs and it looks like probably Sanders. But I agree, and I think that's the big point is what the Patriots defense does to Josh Allen today. That's going to kind of determine how the game. I expect the Patriots offense to be okay, efficient, maybe finish their drives when they get opportunities, but ultimately I think the game kind of comes down to how well they contain Josh Allen and how well Josh Allen plays.
Yeah, it's a great. I mean, you leave it to Hardy to come up with football. Mike and I are like, these sort of abstract, ideas.
Philosophical.
You got to stay away from the penalties.
Believe in yourself.
Got to play a little better. Got to finish. Hardy, it's like you got to contain Josh Allen.
Yeah, right.
It's simple.
Well,
simple X's and O's. But I think you nail it. It's 100% dead on because I do remember saying it. Like we're talking all these every time. These games, it seems like every week it's a new referendum on Mac Jones. It's, he's never played in cold. He's never played indoors. He's never played
this
on the road.
long.
He's
never
been behind outdoors.
And I get it. He's a rookie quarterback experiencing a lot of things for the first time. Yeah. And this will be another one that he's experiencing for the first time is a home game with the division title basically on the line, right? So I think it largely doesn't matter. I think that he's kind of along for the ride. I think this is all about can you prevent Josh Allen from being Josh Allen? If Josh Allen goes out there and does what he did to, like, Tampa Bay in the second half,
sure.
I don't really care who's playing quarterback for the Patriots. You're going to be in trouble.
30-plus points.
Right.
I just wonder, how else can the Bills beat you? How can
right.
if it's
That's
not Josh Allen, how else do they beat you today?
Well, they could play better defense than they have in
Okay.
the last few weeks.
Okay,
But
that would be
maybe take the ball away.
Yeah.
I mean, it is the two top 2 teams in point differential playing Buffalo and New England, and maybe Buffalo's defense plays better. But I'm largely with you, Hardy. If you're going to win, if you're Buffalo, you're going to win today. It's going to be because Josh Allen played a good game.
It's funny when we ask that question, it's like don't let the other team beat you. It's almost always from your team is the defense, their team is the offense perspective. But that is interesting. How can the Bills beat you today if not for Josh Allen? Oh, they can play better defense than they have for the last several games and really make things difficult once again as the Colts managed to for the Patriots offense. And it doesn't have to be a case of Josh Allen beating you. It can be the defense that stifles your ability to move the ball and stay on the field and sustain drives.
Yeah, and it's not hard to concern yourself when you look at Ramondre Stevenson has already been ruled out. And Damian Harris, last time we saw him, he wasn't able to finish the Buffalo game with a hamstring injury. How healthy is he? Is he ready to carry the load? If they have a similar kind of game plan on the ground, is he ready to carry the ball 20, 25 times? Is Brandon Bolden or perhaps J.J. Taylor, who just came off the COVID list this week, able to step in and fill in and provide a complimentary, kind of mate early on those early downs? It's going to be a big load on Damian Harris today if they attack kind of a similar way, if they want to establish play action, all those things. So just a lot of nuance, I think, in some of the matchups today. You talk about the receivers that are out between Beasley and Davis. Dawson Knox, talk a little bit about him, the game that he had against the Patriots last time with drops and penalties. I'm sure he's looking to bounce back. I think he's a key guy. And one more guy I'll bring up is just Kyle Duggar, not available for that last Bills game. Now he's back in. I think he's a big part of playing in the box, containing Josh Allen, being part of that kind of unit that has to contain him like we talked about. So just a lot going on. Two teams that know each other well. They played a lot of times. You've had ups and downs from both teams. So what team is going to kind of show up. But I agree, just the general point. I think it all starts with Josh Allen.
All right, time to go behind enemy lines. Let's do it.
You know the view from New England.
We go behind enemy lines.
But what about the view from the other side?
And that's why you're our favorite pregame show guest every year.
You guys know you tell everybody that.
Oh, yeah?
I was on with you guys in 2018, Thursday Night Football.
Yep.
And I was told I was the favorite guest of the show.
Nope. No.
Time now to go behind enemy lines.
I got it.
I go, nope. Wow, it's changed it up this week. Let's see if Maddie Glab can take a shot at the title here. Joining us now as we go behind enemy lines on the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Dunkin. Maddie, thanks for taking the time. How are you?
Doing good, guys. Happy holidays to you. Thanks for having me on today.
You too.
Thanks, Maddie. Just want to ask you, generally this week, what was the mood kind of around the Bills? And, I mean, I know they've had, 2 games since the last Patriots game, but how do you feel like they're viewing this one on the road against the Patriots?
I mean, there's always something different about Patriots Week around here. People know it's time to get down to business when the Patriots are on the schedule for the upcoming week. So everybody was on their P's and Q's throughout practices, throughout meetings. There's a high-level intensity around here for Patriots Week, and it was nothing different this week, especially from the last game against the Patriots. These guys were not happy with how that game finished, a low-scoring one with the weather playing such a big factor, and that's what a lot of these players talked about this week, and even some of our coordinators, we don't have to game plan for a game that's going to be determined by the weather, whether it was the wind or the rain. Thankfully, the weather is looking better today. I know it's going to be a little bit windy, but no rain in the forecast really helps both teams out in terms of how they want to game plan on offense and on defense. But this week as well, I mean, same with your team and so many teams in the NFL, it was kind of like, all right, who's going to pop up on the COVID-19 list today? Hopefully we can hold off until Sunday, but of course we had a few big names go on that list this week, unfortunately.
Maddie, I wanted to talk to you about that. Obviously we know about Beasley and Davis, but I wanted to get your thoughts on the offensive line and how some of these absences might affect that group. Who's playing, who's not playing, and will it be good enough?
Yeah, well, the interesting thing is we found out that Deion Dawkins has been elevated from the reserve COVID-19 list yesterday. So we will see if he'll play today. He had COVID during the off season. And so when he came back, it was definitely a ramp up period for him. So I'm wondering if it's going to be the same thing for him this time around, or if it didn't hit him as hard. He was actually in the hospital the first time around he got COVID and was really open and honest about that experience and how it even hit him pretty hard being vaccinated. So we'll see how he does the second time around. I'm hoping he's healthy enough to be in that lineup so he can lock down that left tackle spot. Last week when he was out, the rookie Spencer Brown switched from right tackle to left tackle, and it was his first time playing left tackle in his entire career as a football player. So he was definitely experiencing some new things switching from the right side to the left side. But if Deion can go, I think he'll hold down that left spot, and then Spencer will move back into his natural right tackle position, which will then help out the guard positions as well. You're looking at Darrell Williams there playing one of the guard positions, probably Ike Bucker as well, with John Feliciano still not able to play, and then Mitch Morse holding down that center spot, I believe, based on what we've seen in the past. So I think that's a really interesting storyline, is what will the offensive line look like? Is Deion Dawkins going to play the entire game, and how will things shift around if Deion cannot go the entire game?
Maddie, a lot was made after the last time these two teams met about what Coach Sean McDermott had to say after the game about how this wasn't Bill Belichick who beat him. I know how those comments were received and perceived around here. How were they received with Bill's Mafia? What did people think about those comments from the coach after the game?
I don't think Bill's Mafia received them like the Patriots fan base did, just because Sean McDermott is the first person to always take ownership for losses like that. And I don't think he wanted to put the loss on entirely what Bill Belichick and the Patriots team did. They played a great game, but it was also because of a lot of the things the Bills did that kept them from being in a position to win that game, and he wanted to own that loss and make sure that the onus was on them and not blaming someone else. And so they're always the first people, Sean McDermott and this team, to look inward at themselves. What can they do? What can they do better? How can they learn from a loss and move on to the next game? So I think that's kind of how inside the building that comment was looked at, because they talked a lot about after that game, we shot ourselves in the foot at the worst time possible. And they want to get over those times where they do that. And they've done that in losses quite a bit, whether it's penalties, whether it's letting up a big play like that 64-yard Damian Harris touchdown, which is the first touchdown of the game the last time these two teams played. They want to make sure they're in the right positions at the right time so they're not shooting themselves in the foot like they have in the past.
Maddie, just one more, just on the defensive side of the ball. What do you expect to be different just for the Bills, personnel-wise, maybe scheme-wise, just from what they saw last time? Obviously, totally different game without run-heavy approach like the Patriots-Bills last time. But any changes you're kind of anticipating from the Bills' defense?
Yeah, well, we'll know that defensive tackle Star Lotulelei is not going to play in this game due to personal reasons. So that's a missing piece to clogging up the holes for the run defense. I mean, he is a big part of the defensive line, but Harrison Phillips has definitely stepped up in his absence and has also been someone who's been a good run stopper this season for the Buffalo Bills. He came off of an ACL injury a couple years ago. Last year, it kind of took him some time to get back into it, and this season he's finally coming into his own. But it'll be interesting to see how they game plan here, whether they decide to stack the box or not. They've played run-heavy teams differently this year. Against the Patriots, they did play it differently than they have in the past. So I'm very intrigued to see how they decide to scheme to stop the run, because you guys know 222 rushing yards were given up by the Buffalo Bills defense in the last meeting between these two teams. They've done a decent job at stopping the run, but it's really been the big plays that they've given up that have come at the worst times possible. Their yards per rush average of what they give up is not too bad. I mean, they're allowing just 4.18 yards per rush, which ranks top 15 in the NFL. So hopefully they can limit some of those big plays today, because we know how this Patriots offense likes to get going.
All right, Maddie, we always ask for a score prediction from our Behind the Enemy Lines guests. Only one guest has ever refused to give us a score prediction. I hope you don't make it two, because that would be...
I am not refusing today, but
nice.
I'm going to pick my Buffalo Bills.
Oh.
I'm going to say it's going to be higher scoring than the last time around, because the rain, the wind is not going to be as big of a factor. I do think it's still going to be low scoring, because you're seeing two of the top two defenses in the NFL today. So because of that, I'm saying they go over. It's a 43.5 is what's expected, is what the line is for Vegas. And so I'm saying 24-20 is your final score.
Okay. Excellent. Maddie, we appreciate the time.
Game.
Yeah, Bills reporter. Follow Maddie on Twitter @MadGlab. Thanks again. Enjoy the game.
Thanks. You guys, too.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Maddie.
Thank you, Maddie.
There we go, Maddie. Good stuff.
Good stuff.
A lot of good info there from Maddie.
Yeah, I didn't even the Star Lotulelei absence kind of
it's hard to keep track these days.
Yeah,
with guys in and out all
because
the
that
time.
popped up in the middle of the week
Yeah.
with a personal reason, and I wasn't sure what that was, but that's a big loss for them too, to have a big body in the middle missing. So there's a lot of personnel problems on both sides here. I mean, let's call it like it is more so on Buffalo's side than the Patriots.
Yeah.
We'll see what Damian Harris can do if he can hold up, because Stevenson will be out, but it's not going to be easy for Buffalo to overcome the offensive line issues and the defensive line issues, not to even mention the two receivers that are out.
Yeah, really interesting stuff on Dawkins, which, I think she gave you the kind of nuance you don't really get now. You see him, he's off the list, he's going to play. But just one thing to point out, too, Spencer Brown, she said left tackle, 5 penalties last week.
He struggled like crazy. I watched a little of that game. Yeah.
So something to watch if Dawkins can't go.
He's been a decent right tackle, but obviously probably a little bit too much for him. And he was dealing with the rookie for Carolina off the edge, that
Burns?
Yes, I think he was trying to deal with him a little bit and was not doing so very well.
Couldn't grab his leg and hold on to him.
Correct.
All right, let's get to the phones here. 855-PATS-500, Ace Ticket Hotline here. You're also welcome to email us, webradio@patriots.com. We begin with Patty in Agawam, first up here on the Patriots Pregame Show, fueled by Dunkin. What's going on, Pat?
Patty.
Hey, happy Boxing Day, everybody.
Happy Boxing Day.
Happy Boxing Day. That's right.
Yeah. What
Do
are you celebrating
Hope
Boxing Day?
Okay, so I had to look this up earlier for something. Pat, do you know the what Boxing Day is?
Is it when Canadians get drunk and just box each other all day? I'm not sure.
Take off.
I think it goes back to like the UK. It's like this is the day where the wealthy homeowners would give boxed gifts to the house staff. Probably the crap that they got yesterday and didn't want. They box it up and then give it to the help.
So it's kind of like Executive Assistance Day. Is that
Secretary's
Day?
But now it's like I think it's just a shopping day. So whatever. Anyway,
So it's like regifting day, basically.
probably that's yeah, I think so. All right. Well, happy Boxing Day nonetheless.
Happy Boxing Day. You guys hit some good points, and I wanted to bring up something that a reporter asked Belichick a few weeks back, and they asked him what makes a tough team, and he said the three reasons he gave were running the ball, stopping the run, and winning the battle in the kicking game, and we saw them do none of that last week. Mm-hmm. And along with playing a clean game, I think those three elements, they're able to accomplish those, even though Buffalo doesn't use their talented running backs as much as they probably should. I'll be interested to see how they try and contain and bottle up Josh Allen running the ball. Because I think even with the guys out, I think he's going to get some plays downfield because he's good. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, obviously.
I mean, you saw how he performed at the end of the Buccaneers game, and that was the last time I probably watched him, with any real detail other than when they're playing the Patriots. The guy can make plays, and I know that he was listed on the injury report, but he was a full participant with that same foot that seemed to be bothering him at the end of the Bucs game. And even though they lost, it wasn't Josh Allen's fault. Certainly, he was making a lot of plays that he needed to, and I'm sure they took something away from that game, saying like, we're not out of these games, even against a defending Super Bowl champion. I'm sure that they've had that same attitude with him at quarterback here for a while.
Yeah, and I'm very interested to see how they bounce back after last week and what Kyle Duggar does in this game. If they use him to maybe one up Knox, or if they use him to possibly spy Allen in the running game. But I'm just excited. I think this is going to be kind of a low-scoring, tight game. You guys know Polly and Mike, I picked, I think, the Patriots to win 23-21.
Oh, 23-21, I'd be thrilled.
I'm not ready for the stress.
You say low scoring, I'm thinking like
I'd be
13-9.
I'd be thrilled at 3-0,
Yeah.
I don't care. I just want them to win.
All right.
That's where I'm coming from, guys. All right.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Patty.
See you, buddy.
Yeah, a little something this morning. I always like to watch NFL matchup with Matt Bowen and Greg Cosell.
Well, you like to break down the X's and O's. You fancy yourself in all 22.
I don't fancy myself, but I like to listen to other people try to do it. But Greg Cosell had a point of saying, there's just so much on Josh Allen's plate that he said as games kind of go along, you just kind of see it, the wearing on him a little bit, physically, mentally.
Yep.
And I agree with the general point. I mean, certainly the COVID problems that they're having at receiver hurt them even more. But I think the issues with the running game are something even that go back, farther than that. It's just, I think he needs a more complimentary game. And another big point they brought up on the show was just the lack of intermediate passing. I mean, they have, downfield to Diggs and probably Sanders that'll work a little bit, and the underneath stuff to the backs. And
certainly not going to help to have his underneath guy out in Cole Beasley.
Those are the guys, right? Those are the guys.
So I agree with what Mike said, and I saw something like this, like over 80% of the offense he's responsible for. And I would say that no matter what happens today, even if he goes out and has a great game, God bless you, Hardy, even if he goes out and has a great game and Buffalo's able to rebound and get back with it, I think that's an element in the offseason that they're going to need to fix. They're going to have to try to take some of the burden off of the quarterback, whether it's by adding a piece on the offensive line, trying to maybe add another running back to maybe be the lead guy and let Singletary sort of be the secondary guy. Because I do think that they have the pieces in place to be good, but they're a little flawed.
Yeah.
In the way that they're, I think.
And I think they had the right idea with Zach Moss. I just don't think he hasn't.
Yeah, he hasn't.
Done
Well,
it,
I actually really liked him last year, and he has done absolutely nothing this year. He's been a non-factor.
I mean, tough runner, right? Like tough early down, kind of.
I think the game in Buffalo last year, he had a decent. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah.
If only there was a way I could figure that out.
It's impossible. Go back in time.
Let's keep the good Boxing Day wishes going as we go to Tony in Canada. Tony, happy Boxing Day.
Happy Boxing Day, Tony.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Excellent.
Great.
How are you?
I'm excited.
Big football game. Very excited.
Me too.
I guess, and it's something like what I mentioned last week. But if Harris is not, his usual self, do you guys think we can win the game? Being that, again, no Stevenson, and I guess J.J. Taylor isn't activated either. He's still on the COVID list. So if Harris is not 100% or even, his normal self.
J.J. Taylor was out at practice
he was
this
at
week.
practice
He's not on the
all
COVID
week.
list
Yeah,
anymore.
he's out. I mean, we don't know if he's active.
I don't know if he's going to be active in the game, but it won't be because of COVID if he's not.
So do you guys think that we can still bully ball and run the ball the same way? I know we're going to be doing a lot more passing. I mean, we only had 3 passes or something that game against Buffalo. But if we can be successful with the run, do you think it's going to be that kind of game, or do you think it'll be more of a wide-open, even game in terms of pass and throwing? Or, running?
Yeah, I think it would be more conventional. I'm not telling you that they won't be able to run the ball like they did the last time. I think they might be able to, but they need to score points.
Yeah.
And Mike, your key was to finish some of these drives. You got they only got to the red zone once in the last. They're going to need to be able to throw the ball more effectively to be able to balance out the offense. I think.
But I think you gotta at least try to put the heavy on when you as the extra tackle, Jakob Johnson. Because I just think it takes the Bills out of what they want to do. Bills want to play nickel. They want to go light. They want to play with speed. So, I mean, I just think from a simple standpoint of taking them out of their favorite personnel, especially where they don't have Lotulelei, if I got that one right. I mean, that's some big beef in the middle that you're taking out of the equation. So I certainly would attack them. I just think it's got to be more balanced, play action, those kind of things. And I'm also seeing Kendrick Bourne is warming up in a sleeveless shirt, so that's nice to see.
Yeah, Damian Harris out there.
COVID.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Tony.
Guys, thank you.
Okay,
thanks, Tony. Be good.
Real quick on that Zach Moss thing. I did remember it.
Yeah.
The first game in Buffalo, he had 14 carries for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That's pretty good.
So he averaged 5.8 a carry. And, I'm looking at his game log for the whole year. He had 2 games in down the stretch where he had 13 carries each and then 12 for 57 in the second game against the Patriots. Those were 2 of his top 4. I mean, the 14 carries was his high in the first meeting, and 12 he was 4th on the list for the season. So for whatever reason, they thought that they could run the ball against the Patriots last year a little bit more than they were able to do in the first meeting. To me, that's all about the weather. In other words, when they know that you have to run, the Bills can't run it because the Patriots will just gear up and stop the run. They're not good enough to run when they know it's coming. But when you have to play them straight up conventionally, I think there might be some opportunities to get some yards on the ground against the Patriots.
Let us continue here with Tony in Vermont on the Patriots Pregame Show. It's fueled by Dunkin. Hello, another Tony. How about that?
Tony.
Hey, hey, 2 Tonys in a row, fellas.
You got to go
Tonys
3.
in a row.
Feels good.
How are you?
Really good. How are you? How are things in Vermont?
They're cold. We had a big ice storm last night, covered in ice. So we're
cool story, Hansel.
Oh, don't!
I asked him.
I asked him about the weather in Vermont. I just asked him at things in general, so that's unfair, Matt.
It's all good. Big fan of the show, Paul. Huge fan of you, Paul Brillo.
Thank you.
The way I look at it comes down to 2 things. We got to clean up the penalties.
Yeah.
Got to clean up the penalties, and we got to stop them on 3rd down. We can't give them opportunities on 3rd down to convert.
Yeah, that was Paul's key to the game.
Yeah,
I can see why you're a big fan.
That's right.
He wants to clean it up.
That's what we need to do. It's driving me crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, it is frustrating. Tony, thank you for the call. Good luck thawing out of that ice storm. How dare you, Matt? Guy's up in Montpelier.
Walked him right into it. And
he's got nothing
Matt
else
hits
in
him
his
with the
life.
drop.
Now talk about the ice storm, and you just slay him for it. Oh my God,
it's cold up there in Vermont.
Terrible. Well, that's it. I threw the pen down. That's how upset I am. So today's game, obviously, huge ramifications for the division. It's got a lot to do with how this postseason could conceivably play out. There's been some interesting developments, with the Colts last night. Oof. You see how things are moving and shifting now in the AFC. Has your attitude about this team changed drastically over the last couple of weeks in terms of your expectations of them? We all know that, I think all of us, our expectations changed from the start of the season, but have they changed at all in the last couple of weeks?
Not really for me. I think they're a good team, and I think that they are in the mix in the AFC, and that's what I felt, say, 2 weeks ago. That's what I feel today. Yeah. Now, you go out and get blistered today and then follow it up maybe in 2 weeks with a lackluster performance in Miami, and if they're able to get in the playoffs at 10-7, that way I probably won't have as good a feeling then as I do today. But my feelings on the team haven't really changed. I think they're pretty good.
I think as long as the Patriots stayed within striking distance of the AFC East and have now given themselves an opportunity to win. I mean, that's I don't want to say it's my expectation, but that's what I want for this team, is to win the AFC East, and I think this will be a real successful season. I mean, I think they've certainly had a good season so far, but I think, as Paul mentioned, I think the reality of it was when they lost to the Colts, you realize suddenly, we felt great about everything going on that 7-game win streak, but a loss today to the Bills and, a tough game down in Miami, that doesn't mean that this season's going to end and everybody's going to have a parade. They need to finish strong. They need to play their best football right now. This today is what this season is about. So I want to see them win this game and get a home playoff game. If they can do that, I think that's huge. And, before the season, I just wanted to be in the mix for the playoffs, but my expectations are higher now. I think you get a chance to win the division at home. It's in your hands. Go take it.
Yeah, it really can't be overstated, the importance of the game today. And I don't want to, at the risk of putting ourselves in a bit of a lame duck mindset for the last 2 games of the season, because the season will not be over after today. But a loss to the Bills today
just changes the whole perspective on things, really.
I think then we would have to sit down and say, okay, yes, my attitude on this team has changed. Yeah. Regardless of how the game goes. The Bills are still a good team. They're in the mix, just like the Patriots are. They're in the mix. And if you suffer a loss to this team today at home, coming off the loss last week, things will have to change in the minds of a lot of people. I know. I'm guessing that my mind would change too about this team, but still, it's overwhelmingly positive still to this point. And I even factor in the loss last week. It was not a good game for the Patriots. They didn't do anything well. Defense was probably the one thing that you could point to and say, okay, they didn't play terribly, but the inability to get anything else going, it was difficult to kind of reconcile with the way they had played and the way they had managed to win games in the previous 7 leading up to it. So, I guess come to grips with all that. How much do you want to compartmentalize that one loss?
Yeah.
I managed to compartmentalize it pretty well. You lose again today, it's no longer in a compartment.
Yeah, now we're talking about, did you overachieve during that 7-game win streak where things kind of lined up for you? You didn't really beat yourself, but that's not really who you are. And that's what we'll find out today. Are you this mistake-filled team that beats themselves? And, I think that's totally valid. Now, was that a one-off in Indy and they were coming off the bye and they were a little overwhelmed by the energy that the Colts brought, who, in the aftermath you see how big the Colts took that game, and deservedly so, and they played exactly like they needed to play. Why didn't the Patriots bring that energy? That's, a question that we'll either be asking ourselves at the end of this game, or we'll bury it as that game was kind of a one-off. So, again, I think this is the team. You talk about the offseason. We got to win the division. That's always where it starts for me. Win those games. You've got a division opponent coming in today who won it last year, who took it to you last year on the same field about the same time and ended their season with an exclamation point that, sparked them onto the AFC Championship game. They want to get back there. The Patriots, it's all right there, the opportunity on the field for you today.
Yeah, I think we will at some point get into what Mac Jones had to say, not to relive last week's game, but about the week of practice leading up to it, some other things that were said. But if there was any kind of an attitude change or an attitude adjustment that needed to take place with this team, hopefully they got it this week. Yeah. I don't know that that's a real thing or not. I'd be curious to think what.
Are we going to get into that later?
Let's get into it later.
All right, I'll sit on what I was going to say.
All right, we'll do some emails first. We have Bill and Bozeman. Either one of you guys ever been to Montana?
I just started watching Yellowstone yesterday, so that's as close as I can get.
You just started?
Yeah, we watched episode 1 yesterday.
What'd you think?
That was pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I'm intrigued.
I need to watch Montana.
That is one of the very few states that I have not been in. I think there are 8 states that I haven't.
I would like to have seen Montana.
Yeah, Tony
Montana.
Tony?
No, that's for Red October. Merry Christmas, guys. I got my wife a Theragun for Christmas this year, and she loves it already. Thanks for the tip, and let your sponsor know that their advertising dollars work. How about that?
Hey, it's a great.
Somebody have a pager?
Dirty.
I got to run. I'm being paged. They're great.
Yeah, that's really good. Oh, Hardy, I'm sorry from Spee and Fresno. Hardy, I apologize for being a petulant meanie to you last week. Here's hoping the loss to the Colts inspires better play today. But with the injuries and COVID-related absences, will this be another asterisk game? Well, we have to wait till the playoffs to see these teams match up for realsies. Bills win 27-17.
No, it's not. I don't think this one's an asterisk game. I think there's some personnel issues on both sides. I just have looked. You asked about my expectations for the team, Hardy.
Yeah.
My expectations for the season in general, the NFL season, not as it relates to the Patriots. My enthusiasm for everything that we've watched the last 15 weeks has almost totally disappeared. Like, I'm done with every single week. There's another 90 guys. I just saw a tweet from Adam Schefter. There's like 3 coaches for the Chiefs now that are in protocols. They won't be. Like, what do we – it's just basically bogged down into a survival of the fittest. Someone's going to win, and that's great. Congrats, hats off. Maybe to be the Patriots. And certainly no one's going to ask the Patriots to give it back, just like no one asked Tom Brady in Tampa Bay to give it back last year. But it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same for me. It's just about who happens to get a team when they're maybe a little bit less than healthy and the COVID problems are hitting players that you are able to overcome as opposed to, other teams who might not be as suited to overcome them.
Yeah.
I just find it's taken away a lot of my enthusiasm for the season at large.
I agree with that, and I think part of it is I'm focusing on today because, there are certainly issues on both sides, but I think this is still enough of both teams intact that you can take some kind of meaning from this, and who knows how it's going to go the next few weeks. But I think if the Patriots win today, it'll be, regardless of how things kind of go, I think it'll be kind of a suitable crowning achievement for them this season, and then we'll see how the next couple of weeks go with all this stuff.
Baltimore is going to be playing their third-string quarterback. I believe this is the third team in the last 2 weeks to have to play a third-string quarterback.
The Saints, you talk about the Saints?
Saints are on their fourth-string quarterback.
Yeah, Cleveland had to play a third-stringer.
Yeah.
I'm missing one here off the top of my head.
Yeah, there's like 3 of them or 4 of them today.
Oh, Washington. Washington had to sign Garrett Gilbert off the Pats practice
Yeah,
squad.
I mean, last week, that's when it really hit me, and I know people are probably like, "Oh, grow up," it's whatever. I'm not telling you that not to watch anymore. I'm watching the games. I'm still watching them. I watched those train wrecks last Monday and Tuesday. I watched them. With guys that I never heard of playing. That's when it kind of hit me. Cleveland and Washington are playing for their playoff lives. Like, they have to have these games. And Washington is starting a quarterback who was on the team for 20 minutes.
Right.
Like,
it's crazy.
Like, is that I don't know. Maybe some people find that fun. I didn't find anything that enjoyable about that at all. And
just for the Patriots aspect of it, is it Jared Stidham who would be our third stringer right now, technically? I mean,
I don't know. That's a good question. Who would be the next guy? And I'm not sure if it would be Stidham or Hoyer. It's a good question. Probably Hoyer, I would guess. But based on how they've been working,
Hoyer would get the ball before Stidham would.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, last year that's what we happened. That's what happened too. And then all of a sudden Hoyer was gone and Stidham was kind of the guy. So I don't even want to speculate about that stuff.
I will say this though, Paul. Even though I don't know that they're doing it for the reasons I wish they were doing it for, I have to applaud the NFL for changing the COVID guidelines going forward and saying that for players who are vaccinated and asymptomatic, you don't have to test. Enough with the all the time testing, which I think it is the smart thing. I think it's the way society at large has been operating. So why should the NFL hold themselves to some kind of a higher standard? Are we all testing every day before we come into work and be in contact with each other? No. Especially if you're vaccinated and asymptomatic? No. So I'm glad that the NFL is moving that way. I have a feeling the NFL is doing it as a means to the bottom line, which is why
it's all about money. Absolutely.
I mean,
it's what they do.
They're not doing it to say this is the way we feel public health policy should be implemented. No, they want to have their marquee players on the field for the end of the season and the playoffs. Okay, whatever. If it inspires someone to do likewise, good, because I think that's what needs to happen. I don't want to get into a big COVID discussion here.
I just wish they did it from the start. And
I thought
not changing the rules in the middle of the season. That's what I don't like.
Right. Well, I think they were expecting more players to be vaccinated, even those who were kind of the holdouts, and maybe they would get to a point where if everybody in the locker room and everybody on the staff had done it, then they would get to the point where, well, there's really no need to keep testing. But a lot of teams never got to that point.
I'm not saying that that's what they should have done or not, but I just meant in general, I just don't like the idea of changing the rules midstream.
We just got the
go ahead, Deuce.
Inactives. We can get them on the other side. No real surprises.
No, go ahead. Let's have
Joshua Bledsoe, Nelson Aguilar, renew. Sean Wade, Devin Asiasi, Jarrett Stidham, and Jawan Williams.
All right. There we go. Those are your inactives for the Patriots. We'll continue.
Damian Harris is in.
Good.
Now, I guess that
N'Keal
means
Harry is in.
J.J. Taylor, I think,
now,
would be
is he
in.
on the active roster? Has he been put back on the active roster?
I believe so. I think to practice,
I have to plead. I'm going to be.
I have to be honest with you. This is what I count on you two for.
Well, I was going to say I'm going to be guilty of actually enjoying Christmas yesterday. I'm not. I'm sure there was an email in my email.
Right. Yeah. No, they did promote.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just getting totally.
The Framingham kid was promoted again, right? The running back.
Right. Divine Ozigbo did not. He was active last week as well, but did not get any carries or any play. So I guess the question is just J.J. Taylor, and if he is in fact active, I believe he will be. But they also promoted Daniel Iquale again, which would fill in for Dietrich Wise, who ended up on the COVID list yesterday.
All right. Step aside here. We'll come back. Steve in New York, you'll be up next on the phones, 855-PATS-500. Dunkin. Always game on with Dunkin. Kick off the action with the official coffee of the New England Patriots, the most important game day ritual because it's the perfect way to tackle game day however you're spending it. We all know the best call for football is Dunkin. America runs on Dunkin.
TouchView Interactive is here to support your hybrid learning, distance learning, and video conferencing needs with easy-to-use tools that allow end users to collaborate, interact, and present seamlessly. TouchView Interactive offers a comprehensive line of accessories and software to support your audio-visual needs. Outfit your classrooms and presentation spaces with the future of interactive display technology. Visit touchview.com for more info. Offered by the Oakers Company, celebrating 100 years of service and support.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Mike Dusso, Paul Perillo, live at Gillette Stadium. Thank you for listening and watching. Good night.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
I should have gone with a cruller.
I thought
cruller I could eat in one bite.
I thought
it's
we were
so
taking
airy.
a break.
Yeah.
I went with the old-fashioned, and it's dense.
So, Mike,
just to clarify a couple things, I was going to clarify that Ozigbo was not activated. It was yesterday, and Uche was activated, but they activated D'Angelo Ross and Christian Wilkerson along with Iquale. So D'Angelo Ross getting the nod over Sean Wade and as well as Jawan Williams.
Okay, I thought that they had activated him, but okay. I did think that, the D'Angelo Ross one, a lot of our colleagues are making a big deal of the fact that Sean Wade and Jawan Williams are inactive for him. I don't really look at that as the same position, but that's
he's kind of always been kind of a
smaller safety kind of quick guy that might be able to be a bigger presence on special teams.
Yeah, probably.
All right, let's go to the phones here. 855-PATS-500. Steve in New York, Patriots Pregame Show. What's up, Steve?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Hey, Steve.
Oh, go ahead.
I said hey.
So I just want to say from last week's game, it was a great learning experience for the team to see what it's like to be in almost playoff atmosphere where you have a team that's high energy, kind of do or die, coach very well, and how they respond in this game is going to, I feel, tell us about how the team will respond in a playoff game, because you need to start right now. It's almost like these are all playoff games at this point in time. Also, from all the Bills chirping about, complaining about last game, saying it's the weather, it wasn't the coach, it was, all these things, I feel they need to answer that. For us to see, is this a team that can go far in the playoffs? And I do feel that the Bills are going to win. Or not the Bills, sorry, the Patriots are going to win. And I just want to know how long it's going to take for the Bills to complain about something, about the loss, and say it's about COVID or it's about something else in the team rather than the team that beat them.
Well, I'll say this, Stephen. Thanks for the call. When we had Maddie on, Maddie Glab from the Buffalo Bills, she's a Bills reporter, I asked her about McDermott's comments after the game last week and how he said that, this wasn't about Bill Belichick winning the game. And I said, how was that perceived? And she said, well, differently here. I think what he was saying was that, he takes ownership of these things himself in a loss. And he was saying that, we got, outplayed as a team. And I said, well, that's the opposite of taking ownership for it. If you go out there and say, we didn't get out coached, that wasn't that, then you're putting it all on the players. I mean, I don't know how you come to the conclusion that he was taking one for the team when the coach stands up there and says, just so you know, this wasn't Bill Belichick doing anything special. Well, if you say that I didn't do enough, aren't you kind of then by default saying the other coach did better?
I guess.
Well, you could look at it that way, but I think it's exactly what Bill Belichick did after the Indianapolis game. He didn't say, hats off to Frank Reich and his staff for the wonderful game plan. He said, we didn't play well enough, we didn't coach well enough, we didn't do anything well enough to win. And he said it so many times in such short fashion that he felt the need to apologize for it 2 days later.
Well, let's
on the Monday, but he never said anything about the Bills' role in that.
No, you're right. He didn't necessarily, but it's
the Bills don't have enough guys to have inactives. They only have 3 guys.
Wow.
Matt Breida, Tommy Sweeney, and Star Lotulelei. 3. Count them. 3 guys inactive.
Yeah, that speaks to the roster size right now.
Yeah.
But McDermott brought up Bill's name, I think, on his own. I don't think he was asked.
I thought he was, but I'll take your word for it. I thought there was something about the game plan to only throw the ball 3 times, to lose that way. Like, I thought that's the way the question was posed to him. But in any regard, I don't like that McDermott did that. I don't like, if I'm a Bills fan, I don't like the way McDermott handled his post game. I don't really like the way Bill handled his post game against Indianapolis either. But Bills won 6 titles.
Yeah,
he has a little more leeway in the way he handles post game after losses than Sean McDermott
I'm not a huge fan of the way Bill Belichick handles most things, but I'll say there's a big difference between saying we didn't play well enough, we didn't coach well enough, we didn't do anything.
Said.
Oh, okay.
It is what he said.
He said this wasn't about Bill Belichick going out there and beating us. If Belichick,
it was about us. That's what he said.
If Belichick had gone to the podium after Indy and said, all right, just so you know, this wasn't about Frank Reich going out there and beating us. Like, what?
But he said the same. He said the same thing that McDermott did. He just didn't say it was not about Frank Reich.
It's a different.
He said it was about the Patriots' failures, and that's what Sean McDermott said.
You think it's a different way of saying the same thing?
They said the same thing.
Okay.
Again, I'll take Belichick. He's got cachet. He can say it. And if I'm Bill Belichick, I've won 6 titles. I can tell you, this was me, not you. I'm Sean McDermott. I've won nothing. I can't say this was about me, not you. I'm sorry. It's not. It may not be fair, but I think rightly so. McDermott got some slack for that, and Belichick didn't, because one guy has won more than anybody else in the history of the game. The other guy is still trying to get there.
So Bill,
unfair but true.
Bill did apologize at the beginning of the week for the way he handled things in the post game. Paul, I heard
he just didn't apologize for that. He apologized for being short with the media.
Right. Well, I heard what you said about it. Deuce, what did you think when you heard
with
that?
Bill's apology? Well,
yes.
I mean, we didn't play the interview afterwards, and I don't think I listened to it. So I gotten used to listening to it here on the radio show, so I didn't know what he had said or what he hadn't said. So of course it was surprising. You had kind of that like buffer day on Sunday, and then kind of came in, left me scrambling to figure out what happened, but. I think anytime after a loss, it's tough, and it's just hard when, everyone just grab that one soundbite from Sean, from geez, I was about to call him Sean McVay. Can't keep all my Seans ready. They grab that one soundbite about Bill, and it's just there's some context going in that I think Paul kind of provided that.
And I agree. No, but I agree. I don't if I'm from the Bills side, I don't care about it from the Patriots side. To me, that's the other team's coach. I don't really care what he says. But if I'm a Bills supporter, I don't like that McDermott said that. I don't like that he said it's not about Bill Belichick. Put your muscles away and just talk about your team. Don't talk about the other team. That I get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I'm from a Bills perspective, I want to know why it seems Sean McDermott and the Bills, I'm not saying never, but they tend to not play their bests in big spots because I think he gets too wound up. I think he gets too emotionally involved. And I think that has the potential, based on what I'm hearing, I think that there's a potential for that to happen again today. And I think Maddie Glab, when we had her on in the first segment, kind of alluded to it. It's been buttoned down. It's been,
things are different around here during a Patriots week.
And that's the problem. It shouldn't be different, and it's not different in Foxborough, I can tell you that. They go about their business the same way every week. Do they know 1 week against Jacksonville is different than a week against Buffalo? Yeah, they do. But it's not something that's necessarily talked about. It's not something that's front of mind. It's preparing every week for your game. Yeah. And I don't think the Bills have done a great job of preparing for the big games as much as the Patriots have.
Which is not to say that the attitude doesn't change bit by bit throughout the course of the season. That Bill said, it doesn't have anything to do with it, a loss and how that might affect the team. But Tom Curran, I'm reminded of it, is Kyle Van Noy is on one of the other monitors right now. Tom Curran asked Kyle Van Noy earlier this week, attitude-wise, Mac had said something about you guys didn't have a good practice, good week of practice. Yep. And Tom asked Van Noy, he said, did you guys start maybe acting and practicing like a 4-2 team as opposed to a 2-4 team? Because after you're a 2-4, you rattle off 7 straight wins. What happened? And Kyle Van Noy himself said, yeah, you could argue that. He kind of backed up, I think, what Mac had said in the postgame, and that we didn't have a great week of practice, and that an imperceptible shift in the mindset of the players had something to do with the way they prepared for that Colts game.
Yeah.
I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, and I don't want to imply that this is really going to have much to do with the outcome of the game, but I was at all 3 practices this week, and there was consistent hooping and hollering at the end of stretching as they went into drills, and that's not something you see every week. And I did get the feeling this week they were aware that this is a big game for them. It was something different this week. The way that, especially Damian Harris, I know the camera guys from NBC Sports Boston caught Damian Harris on Wednesday, kind of finished a runoff, started hooping and hollering at Mac, and that, I think, kind of set the tone for the week. It was loud out there. So everything, and like I said earlier, everything they said this week, they know. They know what this game means.
They know, but they don't do things
but they're not
differently.
Pumping it up.
Yeah, they're not. I just feel like there's more of an excitement in New England. Yeah. There's more of an apprehension in Buffalo. Yeah. And that might be wrong.
No.
That might just be me from afar.
But I think you're right, Paul, because last year you didn't get a game like this. You didn't have this.
Did you hear it during the week or something? I think McDermott, right after the Panthers game, something like, we all know who we're playing next week or something like that.
Just kind of building it up.
Well, and
that's
prepare.
Right, and that's the thing, and we all know this is a big game, but if the Patriots lose this game, you know what Bill Belichick's going to – he's not going to come out and say, well, season's over. I mean, granted, it will be a different season if they lose today than, it is if they win, but
and it is,
I still think that
it is more damaging for Buffalo to lose than it would be for the Patriots, too, in that regard.
Yeah. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. But the Patriots will plug on. Yep.
They were supposed to win this division. I had this argument with the Bozos on
that was
the
good.
Other day.
That was good.
The Bills came into this season, they expected to have a 2-game lead in the division by now.
Right.
Not to be chasing from behind. In that regard, there's more at stake for Buffalo than there is the Patriots. But at the same time, the Patriots are at home. they have a chance to close it out. There's a lot of pressure on the Patriots in this one. It's not like the other one where they were kind of playing with house money going into that Monday night game. This one, Patriots got to win.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get
You
to
guys can
Sean.
have your movie talk now.
We don't have to. We can wait for you to get back. Oh, Paul's leaving.
Just harumphed.
All right, now we can talk about what we really want to.
Not your dude.
Not your dude.
We're gonna talk about things he doesn't like. Maybe Jaws too. He hates them. I don't really know, but it'll definitely be something that Paulie doesn't like to talk about.
Oh, the Tony Maz. They need a good spanking.
I love the last one. It's always new.
Deuce, I feel like I've picked the last couple of times. If you have a topic, that's great. If not, I have a default one that we can't
give
go
me the
to.
default. I'm too locked on the game.
Well, you mentioned that you started watching Yellowstone.
Yes.
Okay. And I will just say this. Maddie, are you a Yellowstone guy?
About to be. LePan is.
Okay, so LePan's in. Let me tell you something that you have to be mindful of, and I want you to make yourself aware. It's not a pitfall. It's just something that you are going to have to, I believe, suffer through as a watcher of Yellowstone. And that is something I will call cowboy porn. Okay? It is something that happens in season 2, I think it starts a little bit, and a lot in this past season, where they start showing, this is real cowboy stuff you're watching now. Watch this. We're going to watch these barrel racers here. And there's scenes where Kevin Costner and another actor have to interact with someone who is a real cowboy, who is playing themselves on the screen as, oh, these are some of the best riders in the world. And they're riding the horse, and they get it to skid to a stop, and you're supposed to go, oh, that is so awesome. Look how he made the horse stop. I don't care. Tell me a story. Yeah. Maybe shoot somebody. Maybe blow something up. Let me look at some pretty scenes of the mountains in Montana. Leave the cowboy porn out of it. I don't care. I do not care. That man right there, at some point one of the characters is going to head down to Texas. There's 3 legends in Texas. Jesus Christ, Hank Williams, and that man right there. Nobody ever roped a calf like him. I don't care. It's not moving the story along. You're filling up time with something that you think is going to appeal to who?
Yeah. They got like a guy doing the rope tricks, like jumping in, jumping out.
All that crap. This is cowboy nonsense.
How about you, cowboy?
I'd appreciate it so much more if they integrated it into the story, but they're shoehorning it in there. And as a guy who worked in the business, I think some of this is time filler. It's like the Bohemian Rhapsody scene in Wayne's World. They deliver the script and they said, great movie, Wayne and Garth. It's about 45 minutes long. You got to beef up the script. So they go back and they write a 7-minute scene where they do a karaoke version of Bohemian Rhapsody. Right. Stuff like that. I think they're turning in episodes that are about 40 minutes long, and they're like, guys, we need something more.
We need a montage right here.
How about some
cowboy montage?
How about some guys on horseback just doing like cowboy things? Great. It's not. It doesn't. I don't get one of those. I do not. I don't care. Tell me a story.
Yeah, it's funny for me because my, when my bosses I used to work for, they're, Hollywood producer types with money to burn, and they used to go every year to Yellowstone. But this is like the rich people private ski mountain resort that Tom Brady goes to. So they would go there, and they would come back and tell me about private game rooms, all kinds of foofy stuff. So I was like, whoa, what is this Yellowstone place? And now watching the series, you realize, oh, these are like the real people who actually lived in Yellowstone before it was invaded. So I kind of came in at the back door with like, oh, the resort, this is where everybody wants to come now. This is God's country, beautiful, big mountain, big sky, all that kind of stuff. But Kevin Costner, he's enlightening me towards the struggles of the average ranch owner in Montana.
The soundtrack, too, is so much better in the first season. There's weird stuff in there. There's a Maynard James Keenan side project, and they use some music from that. It's called Pussifer, right? You'll hear it in the background. It's this very ethereal kind of weird stuff. It kind of morphs into, what we should just do? Just play some John Deere Green, some Joe Diffie. And people like that. We got a bunch of cowboys watching this now. We got to stop.
All right, well, I'll be sure to text you when I continue the series. I get any of those montages.
Gets a little less artful. But this is whatever. I'm still watching it. I'm still in.
LePan also recommended 1883, which is the prequel to Yellowstone.
Yeah, well, it's got Faith Hill and Tim McGraw in it, doesn't it? Yeah, I think I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm doing that one.
As Tim McGraw stole the show.
I think I'm going to do it. I'll try it.
Sam Elliott, he said.
Sam Elliott, I saw was in it, and I will watch it for Sam Elliott.
He has to be in it. It's like in his contract. If they're making a show like that, you got to put Sam Elliott in it.
What if we're watching? What if we're making a movie about drugs and a kidnapping in modern day Los Angeles? We have Sam Elliott. Well, he's got to be a cowboy. All right, Big Lebowski, done. Right. He's got to be a cowboy. That's the only way he'll do it.
And there was a tumbleweed too in that too. I mean, they a little bit, a little marriage of
Coen brothers. Yeah. All right, well that was fun. I don't think Paul missed out on the Yellowstone conversation. So now we can go to
fellas. Let's get into it.
Deshaun in Virginia. You're on this is still a Patriots pregame show. Believe it or not, Deshaun. Welcome.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Hey, good.
What's going on?
That's good. One of the most glaring things I wanted to pay attention to, like the one of the things I wanted to point out was if like the run game is not working, like and that Colts game showed it, like the passing game is not very consistent at all. So especially if we're going up against the better secondaries, across the league, like some of the teams we have come across, like the Colts, even the game we thought today with the Bills. Like if the run game is not going, are you that confident in the passing game?
No.
The short answer is no. I mean, believe me, I don't think you're going to get a repeat of what happened the last time these two teams played, where you're just going to run the ball for all but 3 offensive plays and come out with a win. I don't think it'll work 2 times against the same team.
And that's the extreme, but I still think the basic point is that this Patriots offense, that's their bread and butter. That's what they get going. You're able to then go into play action. You're able to be in third and manageable. And I should say I think they've been actually pretty good in third and longer situations this year. But that doesn't mean they want to be living in them. I think the running game is critical, and it's need a big day out of Damian Harris again, coming off an injury. Could this open the door? I mean, we're still kind of waiting for definite confirmation. J.J. Taylor is I mean, I believe he is. I would love to just see someone else confirm it, but could he get a chance? I mean, all of a sudden, I know they love Brandon Bolden, so he'd probably be the first one in, but I think getting the run going today is critical, as it always is for this team.
Appreciate it, Deshaun. Thank you. Let's go to William in Philadelphia. William, you're on the Patriots pregame show, fueled by Dunkin. What's up, William?
Hey, how you doing now?
Good.
Hey.
2 questions. First of all, one is Trey Nixon playing?
No. They promoted Christian Wilkerson, so he'll be but Bourne is active, so he'll be I guess the 4th or 5th receiver.
Okay. Okay. So this one. So let me put away the Patriot being a hardcore fan and everything like that. Just more realistic, and I just want both of your honest opinions. Just what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the Patriots can pull it out, or do you think it's?
You talking about for the season, or you talking about today?
Today.
Just today.
Yeah.
Today.
Oh yeah.
Of course.
Absolutely.
They're at home. They're coming off a loss. They need it. That said, I don't anticipate this being a game that's a 2-score game in either direction. I'm fully preparing myself right now for a stressful 3 hours up there and watching this unfold, kind of going back and forth. But I expect the Patriots to bring their A game, and if they lose with their A game, then hey, hats off to Buffalo. I just don't want to see them lose a game where it's another 7, 8, 9 penalties. It's two interceptions, and I just don't want to see them lose that way, because I think if they perform that way in this game, then it's even more of an indictment, just knowing how big this game is, knowing how much you need it. They said it all week. They know what's on the line. The division's on. The division's there for the taking. I've said it multiple times today. That's all. That should be enough for them to go out and play their best game of the year. But we'll see. The Bills are good. Josh Allen's good. He's going to make some plays.
William, I would say this. Okay. Yeah. So do you think the team is more like the team that played the Colts last week, or is it more like the team that won 7 in a row? Now, I don't think it's either one of those extremes. I don't think they're a team that was going to win out for the rest of the season, go 11 straight wins, and just waltz into the playoffs with the number 1 seed in the AFC. I also don't think they are the team that laid a complete egg in Indianapolis. Which team, which is closer to the truth? The team that was winning or the team that laid the egg? I think it's the team that was winning. They are closer to that team than the one that laid the egg. And if you believe that, then you have to believe they can win today. If we knew for sure, we wouldn't be here. We'd be betting all of our money, and we would just be living in a mansion. But I believe they are closer to the team that won 7 in a row than they are the team that laid the egg.
Good enough. I can vote with that.
Okay. All right. Thanks, William.
Vote with that. Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate it. All right. There we go.
Yeah, I agree. I
thought it was freaking eloquent what I just said. I mean, I thought it was Matt, really good.
He's just
good,
speechless.
strong to quite strong.
Speechless in there.
He doesn't.
How
care.
Could one man sum a game up so succinctly?
I'm going to say it again when Paul comes back, and let's see if
What?
he has any reaction to it. You just pretend like I haven't said it
Yeah,
before.
I'll look.
Okay.
I'll have this look on my face, like, yeah.
Oh, it'll be awesome. It'll be awesome. Tim in Phoenix, what's up, Tim?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Hey, Tim.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, I'm glad Paul's not there, actually. I wanted to talk quickly about a little line play.
Oh, there you go. You got in right at the right time.
So I've been noticing in our run defense, what these teams have been doing is they do the double team blocks on our front line guys, and then one of them peels off and hits the linebackers, knocking the linebackers out of play. We don't have a Vince Wilfork eating up those two guys and not moving.
Yeah.
So that's creating huge holes. These guys are getting 3-4 yards before they're even getting contact. I understand why Devin McCourty was screaming down. He's been watching this in front of him game after game.
Yeah.
What's the answer? How do you get your D tackles not to move? How do you get them to eat up two blockers and protect the linebackers? I think that's the problem right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it jumped off the screen last week where, they just were getting outplayed. They were getting pushed around. I think there's been games, and the Cleveland one jumps out to me, where the opposite was true. You came into the game like, man, the Patriots are resetting the line of scrimmage on every snap, pushing those guys back, and that was still a pretty good offensive line despite, not having Nick Chubb or, Kareem Hunt. So, I hate to say it, it's just play better. I mean, they got to play better. They got to win the line. They've seen this Buffalo team now. They know what they're in for. I don't think that the offensive line is particular strength of Buffalo. I mean, some talk of Dawkins. I mean, he's another one though. He's had a bunch of penalties. So I think they got to play hard. They got to play better. I think that 3-4 is going to be part of it with Godchaw playing off on the defensive end, Lawrence Guy. But I think you want to sum it up. I think they just got pushed around last week. They got beat in a matchup, and they got to play better. I don't think they're that bad.
Well, if you go back, you look at these double team blocks. They're hello.
Yep.
Oh. This happened in Tennessee. That's where they got all their money, was up the middle. With these double teams, peel off, get to the second level, boom, you got 4 or 5 yards before there's even a defender there.
Yep.
You don't have the talent up front. You don't have a Vince Wilfork or a Keith Traylor or anybody like that just to eat up these blockers. I don't know if there's anything they can do short of a bare front on every play.
We'll see today. This is not a big running team, so I'm not overly concerned about that today.
This would tell you a lot about McDermott. It's pretty easy. It's a weakness of the Patriots that everybody's been exploiting. If McDermott is worth half of his salt, they'll be able to see this and at least throw it in there from time to time.
Yeah, but do they have enough to really pound it inside with, Singletary? I agree with your point of trying to attack their weaknesses. I just don't know how strong they are to really expose that, and if they've got the wherewithal to stick with it, and is that enough? It's just you built this whole season, your Josh Allen team, everything kind of goes through him. It would be fascinating to see if they have a major kind of shift on either side of the ball today to either stack the front and say we're not going to let you run on us today and we're going to force Mac Jones to throw it, or on the opposite side of the ball, like you said. But I'm also seeing, they only got one tight end today too.
Yep.
So it's they're going to have to work around some stuff.
Yeah, Tim, I got to let you go. Paul's back.
Uh-oh. Sorry.
Okay.
You got it.
Thanks,
in.
Tim.
All right, see you.
I didn't kick Tim off.
No, he was like, I'm glad Paul's not there. I want to talk some offensive line. He was making us silly.
I agree with Tim's point, though. I think this will tell you something about Sean McDermott. Because you can just sit there and say, well, we don't run the ball. We're not going to run the ball. I don't care. But then you're doing your team a disservice because the other team has trouble stopping the run. And their rushing numbers, and I know they're greatly aided by Josh Allen, but their rushing numbers are almost identical to the Patriots' rushing numbers. So it's not like they can't run it at all. Most of the time, they choose not to run. They're like Seinfeld.
I choose not to run.
I choose not to run.
Wow.
So I think they would be doing themselves a disservice if they just said, well, we don't really run the ball. We're just going to put it all on Josh. A, run Josh Allen a little bit more than you did in the first meeting. And B, Let Singletary see if he can get going. Let Zach Moss have some carries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about Yellowstone while you're out of the room.
Okay.
You'd be fine with that.
Yeah, only because I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah,
I saw it I've seen like bits and pieces here, but I have to go back and start it so I can understand who's who.
Do you like Cowboys?
Do you like Cowboys?
Do you like guys who ride horses and make them stop real fast? You're like, oh.
I didn't know that was a horse talent. Making a horse stop short as a talent.
Stop short.
I didn't know.
That's it. Nick in Idaho wants an update on Josh Uche. Anybody got one?
Update? Yeah, he's activated. Sorry, I zoned out there for a second.
Thank you.
Yeah, he was activated yesterday off of injured reserve. So, another little jolt of athleticism for the second level. I mean, I think he's kind of been a third down pass rush guy. With him today, I think the question will be, can they keep Allen in the pocket, not let him squirt out and get those, third down conversions like you talked about. Uche's got good athleticism, and I might be misremembering, but I feel like last year he had a nice play on Josh Allen in one game. I might be misremembering that though. So good guy, he can run. So always a boost.
Matt in Salt Lake bringing up a good point here. Hardy, Paul, Mike, and crew, just want to say Merry Christmas. Thanks for all you do. Much appreciated. And you got a 1 p.m. game today, so the NFL gave you a gift.
Love it.
Yes.
Let's not look past the fact I don't know what the rules would have allowed them to do in terms of flexing this game today, but this is a big matchup for the AFC East, and there was talk that it could be moved to a primetime game.
There was talk.
It was not, so let's just be thankful for that.
We are.
We are?
Absolutely.
Very thankful.
Oh, it's wonderful.
And then we have a 1 o'clock game next week.
Oh, 1 o'clock roadie?
And then?
No, next week is home.
Oh, that's right. And then Miami is the roadie.
As of now, with a 1 o'clock roadie, that game is subject to change.
All right.
Still. That could even be played on Saturday.
We'll get 1 p.m.s in a row, though. I mean,
yes.
Come on, what are we doing?
Yes.
What are we doing?
Don't want to be no, we don't want to be greedy. No. It's not that. It's not one of those. What are we doing?
I'm just taking today for today.
Okay.
1 o'clock for the division. Let's go.
Matt in Salt Lake also wanted to know, as for the game, how much do you think Jonnu Smith will be involved in the run game today as a ball carrier, not just a blocker?
Yeah, possible.
I mean,
over under 3 carries.
How much is Harris really back today, though?
Right,
I know
over under
he's
3
back,
carries.
but how much is he back?
I mean, I'd probably play the under on 3, but I could see it. I mean,
I could see him being involved. Absolutely. I think that's a good call by the emailer.
Okay. Let's go to back to the phones here. 855-PATS-500. Dan in Colorado. You're up. What do you got for us, Dan?
Hey, guys. Looking forward to the game today, obviously. But one thing I am concerned about is Stephon Diggs. We have struggled against him in the past, and obviously in the last matchup, he was never going to be much of a factor thanks to the weather. But curious what you guys think the approach might be to stopping him today, if it'll be J.C. Jackson just kind of locking him up, or if they might try to go, safety corner combo. Would love to hear your thoughts on how we'll stop Stephon Diggs today.
Yeah, well, I think it's Pro Bowl corner J.C. Jackson probably going to draw the majority of the work. We'll see how much man they play on them, but I would expect they'll probably mix in a significant amount of man. Maybe I think they've found a balance between the two that they like, but I think that's one you got to do, and you just have Sanders on the other side to worry about. So it's I do think it's interesting. You have Miles Bryant in the slot, and then also bringing in D'Angelo Ross, who's another kind of slot guy. I'm curious if there's any kind of plan on defense with that to play a lot of defensive backs with him, but. I think it's all about J.C. Jackson and the big moments on Diggs.
All right, Dan.
Awesome, guys. We'll pass 24, Bill 17. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. 24-17 I'd also be happy with. Enough scoring,
Yeah.
It's just,
everybody's kind of mid-20s to the 20s.
I was still
I'd be
that
thrilled with
Saturday game late in the season 2 years ago. That was a 24-17 game. That was the kind of game it was. And, I think a lot of people have sort of been in that neighborhood.
Jarrell in New York. Hello, Jarrell.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Good. What's going on?
Hey.
So I'm a new listener to the show, new watcher to the show. You guys are awesome.
Excellent. Thank you.
No, Pats fan in Buffalo, around Buffalo, New York is pretty rough. So, but I had a quick question. Just with all of the COVID inactives, and obviously the way that the Patriots didn't really play well last week. I was just curious if you guys had any specific players or a specific player that you guys are going to be looking out for, either on offense or defense, I think, for the Patriots.
Well, I mean, I think it starts with Damian Harris. That's, for me, seeing how he looks early on, the early going. If he looks like he's a full go, that would be a great sign. Otherwise, just how are they going to kind of spin the wheel on defense? And, are they going to be able to beat up this Bills offensive line? I think that out of the gate, just out of the gate, you want to see the energy, resetting the line of scrimmage, winning the trench battle. I think you'll know pretty quick what kind of game you're in for.
Yeah, I think it's Mac Jones. I want to see him be able to play more conventional against Buffalo than the first time around, and see if he's ready to have a better start to the game. You can't take the first 3 quarters off again. You can't put your team in a 20-point hole by throwing 2 picks and putting no points on the board in the first 3 quarters. I'm glad that he responded and had a good fourth quarter. But it was too little, too late, and they can't afford to have the same kind of thing. So I'm watching him today.
All right, Jarrell.
All right, thanks, guys.
Appreciate it, buddy. Don't be a stranger.
That was kind of freaky the way Deuce said Damian Harris, and as the words came out of his mouth on NBC Sports Boston, Damian Harris was walking across the field during warmups.
Let me know for your free reading.
I don't know. What does it mean? I don't know.
Signs and wonders.
Good sign? Bad sign?
What does it mean?
Paul, what do you really think of the way the Patriots played at the end of that game? Because I heard you say something else during the week on your other station there.
I'm really glad that they got off the mat. Like, I don't ever expect the Patriots to roll over and die, but the large majority of the fourth quarter, to me, was garbage time. And I think if we treat the Patriots quarterback like he's a starting NFL quarterback and not just a rookie, I think that most people would say that it was kind of just, the game was over and they put up a couple of, by the way, touchdowns. They never had the ball down a score with a chance. Now, if they had gone for the 4th and goal from the 7 and scored, that's different. Now there's 10 minutes left and it's a 20-14 game. That could be different. But they put the Colts in a situation where they didn't have to score any more points. They just had to get first downs, melt the clock. And I think with the lone exception of the 43-yard pass to N'Keal Harry, I think the Colts would sign up for a fourth quarter exactly the same way in every other regard. They made the Patriots take time off the clock to score, and they in turn took time off the clock while not scoring. And they ultimately the Patriots never had a chance to have the ball with a chance to tie or go ahead.
Merry Christmas to Hardy, Paul, Deuce, Matt, and Matt. I hope your holidays have been good. If you could have given the Patriots a Christmas gift to help them through the last 3 games and into the playoffs, what would it be? This can be, this is Dan in Virginia in Michigan. He has explanation.
Hi, Dan.
This can be tangible, like a particular player or help at a position, or intangible, like attitude or scheme adjustment.
COVID immunity?
COVID immunity. That's good.
Yeah, continued good health across the board. They have been incredibly fortunate, I think, throughout the season to have not lost a lot of man games to injury or COVID, and I think continued that, and they'll be in good position going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
He also says was the real reason Fred was out on Thursday is because he suddenly realized Christmas was in 2 days and he needed to start shopping. I did notice that Fred was out on Thursday.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, he had a bad mishap in the Yankee swap, too.
Oh.
Yeah.
Things go poorly for him?
Oh, yeah.
Did he buy himself a foot bath?
There may have been
Did he draw his own name and he bought a foot bath?
There may have been a re-gifting situation going on.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Let's go to another email here. This is Addison in Fresno. I have a general question for the balance of the season. It'll probably have zero relevance given today's opponent, but why is the defense so bad against the run? Okay, so that assumes facts that may not be in evidence there, Deuce.
Yeah.
What they lack in speed, you would imagine they make up for in power, but that doesn't necessarily seem to translate to stopping the run. That is Addison. What do you think about that, Spee?
Dare you call me Spee?
Jesus. Fresno. Fresno, I associate Spee and Fresno.
I kid.
Deuce.
I don't think they're that bad at stopping the run, but I don't really know that I can pound the table to tell you that they're great at stopping the run. How about that? Like, I think that they're pretty good, but I don't think that they've really seen a test that that's been a tough one that they know they have to stop, that they haven't stopped. That they have stopped. I mean, and I think it starts
I was
to
going to say,
I know. Sorry, I misspoke there. I got all wrapped up in my negatives, but what do you hang your hat on? I mean, it's no Nick Chubb, no even Cordarrelle Patterson, their leading rusher, who's pretty good. I think they're better than last year. They were terrible last year. Last year they were terrible. Everybody ran all over them.
Taylor's game last week seemed to be the source of like some conflicting opinions in terms of how he performed.
It was just like, I know, and that's and I think that it's hard because
dominated the game.
It was consistent, and it wasn't
but
like
he only had
20 yards,
so many yards.
Right,
I'm like, but when they needed him,
every yard he needed, he got.
And just look at even like last night. I mean, and I think you saw it against the Cardinals. It was just even when they had him, he somehow burrows through for like 5 yards every time, and he did that to the Patriots just like
the Patriots ranked 24th in football in rushing yards allowed, 25th in yards per play. So it's not just that teams have racked up meaningless yards per carry. They're 25th in the league. Now, against the pass, they're 3rd and 2nd. So it's exactly what you think. Their pass defense has been really good. Their run defense hasn't been good. It just hasn't been there. And everybody would tell you that Buffalo stinks, right? I would be able to tell you that too. Well, they're 15th and 13th in those two categories as opposed to 26th and 25th. It's been an area that they addressed. At times it's looked better. I agree with Mike. It's not as bad as last year. I think Mike nailed that one. But it hasn't been good enough. And I think when the other team has been run-oriented and wanted to run, they've been able to do it. And I think it goes all the way back to the very beginning of the season when Miami lined up for 3 plays and got a first down running the ball. The Saints did it on a drive that was like 75 yards on 10 plays that I think featured 9 runs, including Taysom Hill running in at the end in a Week 3 win. I even think there have been like lesser-known backs like the kid Hilliard for Tennessee that had a big game that wasn't just about the long touchdown. They had 170-some-odd yards running in that Titans game between Foreman and Hilliard.
270
backups. Foreman wasn't even in the league, shortly before that game. So it's an area that they need to be better. And that's why I agree with, I think it was it Tim in Phoenix that had talked about, we're going to see what Sean McDermott has, because I think you could sit there and say, well, we like to throw Josh Allen, and we like to have him throw it all over the place, and we put it all on. Yeah, you can do that, and you might be able to win. He's that good. He might be able to win. But I don't think that's what would be the best for you to win this game today. I think you'd be better served by taking some of that burden off of Josh Allen and running the ball and making the Patriots show that they can stop it. And then trying to stay ahead of the chains that way and stay out of those long yardage situations that have caused some problems for Allen and the Bills.
Let's grab one call here, and then we're going to get to over-unders. Nick in Ohio. Nick, what do you got for us?
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing?
Good.
I got a couple things for you. First of all, Friday was my birthday, and I'm just saying I want to get a birthday win back to the team. So.
You want you want what for your birthday? What? You're asking for a birthday wish? Is that what we're doing?
I'm asking for a birthday win is what I'm asking for.
How old are you?
25.
Okay, knock it off with that. You're all done. You're a grown-ass man. You don't get birthday wishes 2 days after your birthday.
Yes. Save it for when you blow your candles
I'm just that committed. My
funny.
second thing is, though, I hate to predict these high-scoring games, but I think the offense is going to have to come out and have to have a shootout game with the Bills. I think that's what's going to happen today. The Bills are so stacked right now, and they have a good offense, and I don't think we need to rely on this defense to be able to handle this game. I think Mac and the offense, especially the line, has to come out and have a shootout game with them. I'm predicting the 35-28 win.
Ooh, all right, that's fun.
That'll be a fun one to watch.
That'll be fun. Yeah, I hope you're right, Nick. Let's see some up and down the field. I was trying to formulate in my head for my final score today. I'm like, it's close to that. It's not quite that high, but I have something that will get us toward that. It's just something to wish for. We're gonna hold off on over-unders for a moment because we need to step aside. Is that what's happening here? Okay, all right. Well, you can see the warm-ups are happening. There's N'Keal Harry out there on the field for the Patriots.
He's dealing with a hip injury, but evidently not enough to keep him out of the lineup. And I do think that's interesting because a lot of people had that as a head problem too, and it wasn't. And Mike, you and I were on that in the postgame show. We didn't think he got hit in the head on that play, and he didn't. It was a hip problem for N'Keal Harry. So good to see he's back out there.
Didn't miss any practice.
We're watching warm-ups here as the Patriots get ready for the Buffalo Bills today. So I don't know what the level of involvement for that player, N'Keal Harry, is going to be. There are others who, like we've said before, Patriots have been real lucky with their COVID issues so far this season. Both teams are dealing with it, but I think the Bills certainly have, taken a bigger hit.
Yeah, well, Bourne back. I mean, Bourne missed all week of practice, was activated yesterday. So I think really with Harry and Aguilar's out with the concussion. So, how ready to go is Bourne? I mean, I assume that he was heavily involved virtually this week, but, wasn't probably able to do much on the field. So, it could be a little bit of an expanded role for N'Keal Harry. I mean, played a big role in the blocking against the Bills. We all know the toss crack, that crack block that he loves to make off the defensive end. So I'm sure we'll see some of that today too.
The real question is, Paul, how much can you tell from the way a player is warming up? Like we just saw Myers bending over and stretching. You can tell a lot from how he's going to perform in the game today, by the way.
You're a bad person.
What?
N'Keal Harry, interestingly, though, because we made a big deal the last time these two teams met. Harry made the big blunder on the punt return. He's, he's with Gunnar Olszewski and Jacoby Myers back returning some punts today. Maybe that's Bill's way of saying, see, I have him back there sometimes.
It seems like it's
just in warm-ups.
It's going to continue.
See? So it wasn't just that one day. He's out there all the time. Bill's
J.J.
Taylor.
Okay.
So
Mike and I, right again.
Yeah.
We're having a good little.
I was thinking.
We're having a good little run there, Mike.
Well, I mean,
he was out of practice all week.
I know,
he had to be activated.
I know. We need a break. It's like COVID list and who got activated and when was he activated, and they activate guys off of IR, but then they don't actually, then they need to put them on the roster. There's just so many little things that need to happen. We're not sure, but
Chris in New Hampshire has an interesting email here. He says, "Do you think a big part of the offensive game plan for today is going to be lifted from the unused portions of that first matchup? Or do Bill and Josh start with a fresh slate based on what they've seen from Buffalo over the past two games?" I'm sure if asked, Bill would say, what happened 2 weeks ago has nothing to do. It's a different week, blah, blah, blah. But you can't tell me that a week ahead of time they were planning on that game plan that day, at least offensively, for the Bills. So did they have some stuff ready to go that they weren't able to use that they could use today?
Absolutely. I mean, Josh did talk this week on Tuesday and said, he tries to push himself to approach it as a completely new game plan. But I think when he looks at Buffalo's defense and, sees passing concepts and, things that they do that they think can work that they weren't able to use in that last game, I'm sure that's, on the list of stuff that they're going to bust out. And just like I'm sure that they took some things from that game that they did or did not do well that they're going to either add or remove or expand upon, I should say, or remove. But Buffalo's the same way. It's interesting. The way Josh referred to it was it's a tug of war between what you kind of thought going in, what you thought coming out, and now what you think of the team going in and scouting them. So I think that's another part of the interesting kind of layers of intrigue in this game is what do they build off of? What do they take from that game? What do they try to improve upon as the quarterbacks make the long jog out of the tunnel?
There they are. And there they are, having the jog of their lives.
Correct.
Mac Jones, Brian Hoyer coming out.
And Jones got the glove. Seems like that's here to stay.
Oh, it's for protection and stuff.
Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier, all these teams that are down to their third string or fourth string quarterback today. I think, just based on what we've seen here in terms of activation, it seems like Hoyer is the backup, but is that only for in-game purposes and strategery and whatnot? I mean, if someone had to go, would it be him or would it be Stidham?
I think it would be Hoyer because if Mac Jones gets hurt in the first series today, Brian Hoyer's going in.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you wouldn't
do the same thing if you're planning on
to play
starting
a game.
guy.
Yeah. Now, if Hoyer plays and he plays poorly, then maybe that sort of reopens that decision to maybe see if Stidham is moved past. But I don't see any reason if Jones were to play the whole game today and have something happen to him that prevents him from playing next week, I think all signs would point to Hoyer starting.
All right. We'll step aside.
Let's hope that we don't have to find that out.
Exactly. All right. We'll continue watching warm-ups here. We want to thank Bose. They are proud to be the official sound and official headphones of the New England Patriots and the NFL. Bose Quiet Comfort earbuds. Rule the quiet. Learn more at Bose.com.
TouchView Interactive is here to support your hybrid learning, distance learning, and video conferencing needs with easy-to-use tools that allow end users to collaborate, interact, and present seamlessly. TouchView Interactive offers a comprehensive line of accessories and software to support your audio-visual needs. Outfit your classrooms and presentation spaces with the future of interactive display technology. Visit touchview.com for more info. Offered by the Oakers Company, celebrating 100 years of service and support.
That looks awful. Football's back and it's time to go big. Pepsi pulled pork sandwiches are game day greatness. Now we're ready for game day. Check out some more awesome recipes on madeforpatriotswatching.com.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
And something I just discovered last night on Peacock, I believe is how you pronounce it. Or is it Peacock?
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
What are you laughing at, Paul?
You talking about the Peacock Network. That made me laugh. That little rejoin.
Oh, was I?
Yes.
I didn't even hear it. Peacock? Let's take care of the over-unders here. We'll continue watching warm-ups. We see Mac Jones there on the screen. As the Bills are visiting the Patriots today, we're live at Gillette Stadium, but we got to take care of the over-unders first. Here we go.
It's time for this week's edition of Over-Unders.
You're over me? When were you under me?
All right, let's find out what happened last time and where we are in the season. Marine Matt?
All right, last week, Mike 4-2, Paul 3-3, Hardy 2-4.
Yikes.
Season totals: Paul 48-36, Mike 44-40, Hardy 35-49.
I mean, it is a two-way race here. Paul's been great. Mike, nice little inch up last week. It's down to you two for the season. I congratulate you both. On a season well played. I'll still submit my picks, but. There's no chance. Come on. No chance.
Don't quit.
That's big shot. Waltz. He says no chance. No chance.
Don't be like that.
No.
It's unbecoming.
All right, what do we got?
Mac Jones completions, 20.5.
Ooh.
Deuce, you get the first pick here.
That sounds high. I think it's going to be a balanced effort, not like last week where it was skewed to the run, but I'm going to take the under on that. I think it's just a little bit high.
All right, Deuce going under 20.5. What do you think?
This is a tough one. I agree with Mike. It's could go either way. I'm going to go under slightly for the same reason. I think they'll be more balanced offensively, but they don't want to be throwing 45 times like they did last week. I don't think they'll have to do that today.
Yeah, I don't think they will either, but I just feel like going over just so I can, give
yourself a chance. Like a 6-0 and an 0-6, and all of a sudden you're right back in it.
Yeah. That's one way of saying it. So am I just doing contrarian picks this week?
Hey, that's where you're at. That's where you're at.
Yes.
Hunter Henry receiving yards, 30.5.
All right, Paul, you're up first.
I'm going to take the over on that one. I think Henry has been a big part of their passing game, and I think it continues.
30.5. As much as I would like to go under, I think that he is the guy right now. Especially in the red zone, so I'm going to go with the over also.
There goes your 6-0.
I know.
Yeah, I gotta go over too. I think he's the go-to guy and a little bit short-handed. Some questions about the other targets. I'm going to go over.
Damian Harris rushing yards, 61.5.
Yeah, he's back, but I don't think he's back. I'm going under.
He should get, as long as he's healthy, he should get a ton of attempts. I'm going to go over.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under as well. I don't think he's healthy. I don't think hamstrings fix themselves that quickly. So I think he'll be okay, and I think they'll try to monitor him a little bit, but I'm going to take the under.
Jacoby Myers' longest reception at 18.5 yards.
Deuce, back to you.
I'm going to go under, just playing the odds on that one.
Paul's going under, too, I can tell.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under.
See, just so I can go over it, just so I can gain a little ground.
I was
here.
giving you
Thank
the open.
Thank you.
The opening.
I appreciate that. That's all I want.
All right, giving Buffalo a little love. Josh Allen passing yards, 248.5.
Paulie Paul.
I'm going to take the over on that. I think if Buffalo comes in here and has a chance to put points on the board, he's going to have to be a big part of it.
Yeah, but he's going to have a big problem with the Pats secondary today. I'm going under. No way he gets 248.5. What do I know? I don't know.
I'm going to go under 2. I think this is a little bit playing the odds here, but that's a tough number. I think he is going to
150 and Gale Force wins. I think he can get another 100 in normal conditions.
Yeah, but we didn't have Kyle Duggar.
I forgot.
And as always, the total score, 43.5.
News for you boys. This game is going over because the Patriots are going to get nearly 75% of those points on their own.
Wow.
Oh.
Whoa.
I have the
teaser.
full breakdown
Teaser.
for you coming up in the Sunday six-pack, but for now, I will just say over.
Yeah, 43.5 feels like a low number to me today. I'm going to take the over.
I agree with Mike. I just feel like that's a low number for two teams that have been, the windstorm notwithstanding, two teams that have been in the 20s all year. I think I'm going to take the over.
I just saw the Sunday six-pack. What happened last week? Did you confirm these numbers?
The Sunday six-pack is correct, yes. Sorry, Hardy.
Wow, I had it. Well, I don't want to,
I did confirm
spoiler.
the
I had a
numbers.
terrible week. Oh, man, we'll get to that later. All right. Back to the calls, 855-PATS-500. We go to Jake in Colorado. What's up, Jake? Thanks for holding. Thanks for being with us on the Patriots pregame. It's fueled by Dunkin. What's up? Jake? I can hear him typing.
I know you're there. I can hear you breathing.
Okay, I'm not even going to put this one on Hardy. I can hear the person. What are you gonna do?
Is Samantha there? And if she is, may I please speak with her? Yes, she is. And no, you may not.
Listen here, you little pervert.
She's so lucky to have us.
Love it when that happens. And here come the big dogs.
Oh, there
big
they
dogs. Barmore, Paul's guy, ready for some disruption.
I have a little bit of a crush on Barmore.
Get in there and get on him. David Andrews.
There's my son's guy. TJ loves him some David Andrews.
Yeah, a funny point by Teddy K this week when he talked, saying he's been teammates with David Andrews for a long time. Never really played with him. Usually have been backing him up, or never really had played in conjunction with David Andrews for an extended period. Now he's settled in at left guard, so chance to him
interesting
to
story.
play.
Teddy the K talked about Mac Jones taking care of his offensive lineman with an interesting choice of
Bitcoin
of
stuff?
give some
Some
Bitcoin currency and subscriptions. Got him basically the Bitcoin starter kit, I think is the way they termed it. For all the offensive linemen, not just the starters, but all the offensive linemen in the program, including practice squad.
There was at least a couple.
Good move by Mac Jones. You take care of those
There
guys.
was, but there were probably at least a couple offensive linemen that were like, "What? What is this? What does this mean?" Like, no idea. Which is what end of the spectrum I would be.
Matt in Oregon says, "Hey guys, happy holidays. Thanks for what you do. I think the success of the rest of the season hinges on our line play on both sides of the ball." Man, I'm with you on that, man. We need playmaking weapons that can change games, so we need our lines to allow the team to dictate how the game is played or to hold serve, as Mike says. Deuce and Matt, outstanding job on the 2001 video.
Oh.
Love how you guys let Tom Curran make himself seem like an insufferable douche. Whoa.
Now that's just accurate.
And speaking of douches, Hardy, the cowboy porn in Yellowstone allows them to set a mood and bring realism to the show. Plus, the one cowboy you see is one of the writers of the show, so he gets a pass. Yeah, that one guy can actually act, too. But you know what, Deuce? There's a new Netflix special about Hollywood cliches.
Oh, I've seen it. With Rob Lowe?
Is it good?
That's all right. Yeah.
Okay, because I feel like whenever they go to one of those cowboy porn, like montage things with the horses, it's a cliche. It's like, what do we do here for the realism? Oh, we'll add in some real-life stuff for about 4 minutes.
Set the mood.
Yeah, it's like I don't like the formulaic stuff. I don't.
Yeah.
I think it's too transparent.
Well, then that show will ruin everything for you.
So what is the? I'm more interested in the Netflix special on.
Just the
Hollywood cliches.
I've only heard a promo for it, or I think I've heard it on the radio, a promo for it, where it's like, What does it mean when you're watching a movie and they start trying on costumes with a dance number in the with a song in the background? Oh, that's the that old gag.
Yeah, meet cute. That's another one. Meet cute.
There's a whole list of Hollywood script and movie making cliches, and I guess they break them down in this Netflix series.
Yeah,
it'll
ruin movies for you. Cause
how long is that? Is it like a 2-part? Is it a long series? Because
I'm getting some of them mixed up. I watched one with Rob Lowe, and I think it was just one. I think I have it right.
I'm gonna watch.
I'd be interested in watching something like that, but not necessarily like an 8-part series on.
See, this is
your point, like ruining movies.
I know.
I kind of like ruining.
It ruins
things,
the whole structure. All
no
movies
surprise
are,
there.
Yeah, all movies are kind of structured the same, and all those things that need to happen, and it's why movies
it's like that series
formulaic.
They had like the history of sitcoms on
Yep.
I don't know, one of those
CNN, I think.
CNN maybe. Yeah, that was pretty good. I enjoyed that.
Hey Matt, can we grab Alex in New York before we break? Okay, good. Alex, thanks for holding on. What's up?
Happy holidays, everyone.
Hey Alex.
Same deal. Oh, are you out on the you hustle and bustle there? What are you doing?
Well, she's in New York.
It's my birthday.
Okay.
Whoa! Happy birthday.
Well, I gave that guy a hard time about talking,
Yeah,
but
you
his
can't
birthday was 2 days
and
ago.
you also can't ask the woman. That's
And today is your actual birthday?
Yes, today is my actual birthday.
You and David Sedaris. It's his birthday today too.
Well, it's a good person to share a birthday with.
It
but
is.
I can't think of a better gift than a Patriots win.
Heck yeah.
I wouldn't want any other gift than that.
All right. Well, but are they going to win today?
I would like to hope so. They don't want to disappoint me. That would be sad.
Well, it's all about you, Alex.
It is all about me. Well, it's always all about me on my birthday.
All right.
But I was just wondering, so I know I always see everyone saying, oh, Jonnu Smith, this is his breakout game. Jonnu Smith, this is his breakout game. Jonnu Smith, he's going to have a breakout game. So I'm just wondering, since we're a little short on running backs, we're a little short on wide receivers, what are your thoughts about, because I know you were doing the over-unders and you were talking about Hunter Henry. So I'm wondering, like, the two tight ends, they're pretty much the healthiest players that we have on the team right now. What are your thoughts about how you think that we're going to be using both of our tight ends in the game today?
All right. What do you feel about the Patriots and their tight ends today?
I mean, I think with Jonnu, it'll be like it has
Sounds odd.
been. It's going to be a few, there'll be a few design plays for him, but I just think you don't really see him get hit within the normal progression of the offensive reads. It's not like, hey, we get down to the third or fourth matchup and we can expose that.
Hold on a second. Alex is getting on the subway. Thank you, Alex. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay. It's too loud.
But I'm not really, expecting him to all of a sudden break. They'll have a few plays for him like they usually do, and I think that it's certainly on the table for some snaps as a running back. I mean, he's kind of a little bit of a gadget player for them. Just be great to see him make some big plays that aren't called back by penalties. That just seems like he gets hit with that multiple times this season. Just having some bad luck. I don't know. I think of all the guys that, there's been a great free agent class. I think he's one that, could use an offseason to reset and kind of, figure out how to kind of get him more involved in the conventional offense and not, such a specialty player of, all right, this is more going to throw a screen or, a little underneath stuff. But I'm sure he'll have a few plays today.
All right. Well, we're watching warm-ups here as the team gets closer and closer to kickoff. We'll continue with the Patriots pregame show fueled by Dunkin here in just a minute. We'll get the Sunday six-pack up next.
Football's back and it's time to go big. Pepsi pulled pork sandwiches are game day greatness. Now we're ready for game day. Check out some more awesome recipes on madeforpatriotswatching.com.
An active lifestyle means you never stop moving. That's why only Theragun devices are designed to release your body's deepest muscle tension, so you can do the things you love. Land that pose, hit that final rep, taste success, and do it all over again. You only have one body. Make it a TheraBody.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Chad, what do you wear to bed? Talk to me.
I wear my birthday suit.
Atta boy. Sleeping with Buck, we call that.
You don't really do that, do you?
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Hardy.
I would have gone with under the wires on that.
Look, there's no time for that.
No,
There's
it's true. It's not like we have breaks.
things falling off the walls. By the way, I've never noticed it before. What? Do you know what I'm going to mention? What? The power strip hanging up
the
there?
power strip, the ceiling tiles, all of it.
That's not up to code. That can't be up to code.
We had a rainstorm and the ceiling tile completely collapsed.
Oh, good. So then you hang a power strip up there, which is not up to code.
Power strip was already up there.
After you had a leak through the ceiling. Well, that's double safe then, isn't it? What are we doing?
Double safe.
I didn't build the building. I just clean up the mess.
What's the matter? Why are you angry? I don't like when you're angry.
I'm getting nervous about this game.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
Really?
I think Bolden might be carrying the ball a lot today. I just saw him trotting
I
off
think
the
Bolden
field.
will get some carries today. I mean, I'm not
I like-
sure how much you can expect from J.J. Taylor after such a long absence, but maybe he gets in there as well. But yeah, I would expect Bolden to be involved in this offense today.
I want him involved in the offense. I want him catching passes out in the flat and running the ball that way. I don't like him as a ball carrier.
Yeah.
That doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
And they may have to, unless Jonnu Smith is going to get his over 3 carries that we were contemplating earlier. It's probably going to have to be utilized to some degree. I don't love it. That's all. All right, let's talk to Chase in Kansas before we do the Sunday six-pack here. Hello, Chase. Thanks for joining us on the Patriots Pregame Show. What do you got?
Yes, I had a question. There's another John U. Smith question. Early on in the season, I want to say it was week 4, they used him in the red zone on that one play. I think they're on like the 1 or 2 yard line, and they just tossed it up to him. Why do you think we haven't seen much of him utilized in the red zone?
I don't know. It's funny. It's like, remember that one time they threw it to Jonnu Smith and then in the red zone?
It almost worked.
Like, since then, it's only been Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah. No, I think it's a good question, and I mean that's to me been the offensive bugaboo this year. Has just been the red zone offense and finishing. And you're right. I think that they found some success with Hunter. Just they're gonna need to go more. I mean, look today. I would bet. I mean, if I were the Bills, I'm focusing wholesale on Hunter Henry down there and making them beat me with anybody else down in the red zone. So I think it's a good point, and I think high red zone is where they like him. I don't think that he's perhaps like the most nuanced route runner or has like the ability right now to kind of find the open spaces. And that's why I think a lot of what we see from Jonnu Smith are those screen passes, things that like, all right, this is this play specifically to get him the ball in his hands, high red zone, and see if he can run it in. I think that's the spot for him. But I'd love to see him, figure out a way to shake loose in the end zone and open himself up for a pass.
All right, Chase, appreciate it. Thank you. All right, one more before the six-pack. Jake in Colorado. Jake, what do you got for us?
Hey, guys. How you guys doing? Happy holidays to you.
Same to you.
I just wanted to call and ask you guys, how much confidence do you have in Bill Belichick's confidence in Mac Jones?
How much confidence do we have in Bill Belichick's confidence in Mac Jones?
Do you mean like are they holding him back too much, you think? Is that where you're getting
because
at?
obviously last game, he only got off 3 passes. So, and I know that was mainly due to the weather. So how much of a difference this game do you think we're going to see in the pass defense of Mac Jones? I know you guys voted on it earlier on whether he's going to have 20 or less. And you guys are kind of 50-50
completions,
on that.
though. I think they'll throw the ball, somewhere between 25 and 30 times.
Yeah.
25 and 30 times.
Yeah, I think that they'll be, assuming that the game doesn't get out of whack. Like last week they threw the ball 45 times because they fell behind 20-0 and you had to throw it on every play. So I don't think that will happen. So I think it'll be more conventional.
And I think with Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris being healthy this week, we're gonna run almost just as much as we did in the last game. Obviously.
Yeah, Ramondre Stevenson is not healthy.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
COVID.
He's not active. He's on the COVID list.
Yep.
Oh no, I didn't even know that.
No, I know it's definitely a blow to the team because I think last week. Yeah, I think last week was an anomaly, and I think you can expect good things from Stevenson going forward, But if you want to make yourself feel better about it, say like, okay, well, wasn't able to do much against the Colts last week. I guess it's not the worst thing in the world. I would rather have him out there.
For sure. He's a good player.
Because you can't just think that, well, Damian Harris is back, it'll be fine. No, I'm with Paul. I don't think a hamstring is something that heals overnight, and just because he's active.
I think there was an injury. Like I think that he tweaked it, and then tried to play through it, and it looked like he popped it, like at that point. And I don't think those just go away in 3 weeks. Now, can you manage the pain and wrap it up and get through? Yeah, you can.
Yeah. But is he going to have that top line gear to break away and have the kind of run he had against the Colts last time? That's the question. How much explosiveness does he have? I feel good about him being able to pick up some yards, but if he gets into the open, that's where you want to see if he can pull away.
One more thing, if COVID does force some more postponements of games and stuff, we had the doubleheader on Monday night. We had the double, not a doubleheader. We had 2 games going off simultaneously on Tuesday. People were talking at the time. It's like, well, it sucks for those teams, but this is great. Couple of games on Monday and then those games on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I did not care for it myself, especially with the 2 games happening on Tuesday. You had no chance of seeing one unless you had some super package that I don't have. I mean, we were stuck with the one Fox game, and then another part of the country got the other one. I don't care for stuff like this. I do not wish for football 4 or 5 nights a week.
No, I don't either. And like I said, I guess you could call me disingenuous. I watched them. I watched the games. I certainly watched the games on Monday. And then on Tuesday, I was sort of in and out a little bit because I wasn't really as interested in those 2 matchups more so than anything else. And we didn't get a chance to see I would have rather have watched the Rams, and we didn't get that one here on the East Coast. So, but I'm with Hardy. I don't need to have an NFL game every night of the week. And that's kind of what it amounted to, from Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, took Wednesday off, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
You get the Saturday games now, and it's 4 nights a week is fine. Between Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Saturday, I'm good.
Yeah, and it's good now because the Thursdays go away now, right? If I'm not mistaken, I think we've gotten the last Thursday game. So this is it. This is when the playoff matchups will be determined, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, 6-pack time. Here we go.
This is the Sunday 6-pack, so kick back and listen to the position. I'm itching to get the picks back. You better bring a big stack. Don't get it mixed, Jack. I came to win it, yeah, this is the Sunday 6-pack.
Well, I know it wasn't a good week for me last week. How did everyone else do? Where are we on the season, Matt?
Last week, Mike 4-2, Paul 3-3, Hardy 1-5. On the season, Hardy 42-32, Paul 37-37, Mike 35-39.
I remained adequate in my adequacy.
Well, I tell you what, you finished just, 55%, and you're a sharp. So you're going to make a little bit of a push here in the last few weeks. All right, Paul?
Okay.
Deuce, there's not much hope for you, buddy. What can I tell you? It's probably not going to happen.
What do you mean?
What do you mean, what do I mean?
Just need 2 games.
All right, we got 1 o'clock games first. What do we got, Matt?
The 10-4 Los Angeles Rams at the 7-7 Minnesota Vikings. LAR -3.5.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook out. I'm going to take the Rams in this one.
Yeah, I like the Rams as well. I will take them and see if they can keep it going. They have a chance now to take control of that NFC West with the Cardinals losing last night.
Yeah, that game that we didn't get a chance to see on Tuesday was the Rams. I think they have no problem covering 3.5 against Minnesota. So we are all on Los Angeles.
The 8-6 Baltimore Ravens at the 8-6 Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati -7.
What do you think there, Paul?
I think the Bengals win this game, but I am not looking to give 7 points. So I'm going to take the points, even with Josh Johnson. You know what? I can't do it. I can't. I'm going to take Cincinnati. Josh Johnson playing for Baltimore. I'm going to lay the points.
Right as Josh Johnson tried to come out of your mouth, you pulled it back and changed your mind.
Even as I was talking about it, they have so many guys out that you even forget how many guys they have out.
Oh, that's crazy.
I'm going to take Cincinnati.
Okay, so you think Cincinnati I thought you said I think Baltimore is winning this game.
No, I think Cincinnati is winning the game.
Right.
But I was going to take Baltimore every week. They've had all these guys out every week. They've lost these games by a total of 4 points the last 3 weeks. 1, 2, and 1. So I was going to roll the dice with it, but I'm not going to with not even Tyler Huntley playing. I can't do it.
I know, and I want to say the Ravens are going to give them a game. I just can't. We're talking about A one-score game. Are the Bengals one score better than the team that the Ravens is putting out there today?
They have to have it too at home.
Yeah,
I think they are. So I'm gonna lay the 7-2. I don't love it, but I'm gonna do it.
I don't love it.
I'm gonna take it to Cincinnati.
Moving on to the 4 p.m. games, the 7-6-1 Steelers at the 10-4 Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City -10.
Yeah, Tyreek back.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you going
no, I'm just
first?
making sure you knew.
Okay.
No Kelsey.
No Kelsey.
But Hill is in.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill back. I don't like laying this many points. However, it is in Kansas City, and Tyreek Hill being back. Kelsey is the chain mover and the guy who he's going to go to, but Tyreek Hill is an adequate substitute in a pinch in terms of a guy that Patrick Mahomes can get the ball to. I will lay the 10 with Kansas City today.
Yeah, that is a lot of points, but I will take Kansas City.
Yeah, I'm going to take Kansas City too. It's more of a lack of faith in Pittsburgh.
All right.
The 7-7 Denver Broncos at the 7-7 Las Vegas Raiders. Las Vegas -1.
Deuce, you're up.
I'm right in. I'm going to take the Broncos on the road. Big defense. Raiders too hard, up and down.
All right.
You taking the Broncos?
I'm going to take the Broncos.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Raiders. No real reason. I just think they have more offense.
Raiders have not shown me much lately, so I'm with Deuce on the Broncos.
Monday Night Football, 7-7 Miami Dolphins at the 7-7 New Orleans Saints. Miami -2.5.
Paul.
I'm going to take Miami. Ian Book, I think, will have a hard time dealing with all those blitzes from Miami.
I am going with the Saints in this one, and we have to hurry things up here, so we'll just move it along.
Yep, I got the Dolphins as well.
All right, and finally,
the 8-6 Bills at the 9-5 New England Patriots. New England -1.
Patriots 31, Bills 17.
I love that. I think it's going to be a little closer. I got Patriots 27-24.
Stole my score. Oh. Yeah, I also like the Patriots 27-24. I think it'd be a much different game than the last time, but Patriots find a way to win. Why? Because they're tougher.
All right, very good. Thank you to everybody for joining us here on the pregame show. As the Patriots get ready to host the Bills, we'll be back and hope you will join us then for the Patriots postgame show immediately after the game. Thanks for listening and watching.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.